Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and here is part 2 of 2 of my Dusk playthrough. Originally this was a live stream, but I have since edited it to remove all the boring bits. Also, please remember to comment, like, and subscribe. And with that, let's get right to it. Or not. Oh, level select. Wow, I'm an idiot. I am an idiot. See? I should not do this at 8 o'clock. It seems like my brain is just turned off. It's like, whoa, the level select work. Maybe I have to go to new episode. You know, trust me, as time goes on, this will happen more and more to you. Oh, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder where my brain has gone. Away it has. So, yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Star Wars reviews. I'm considering trying to work in a review of a Star Wars comic. And that Star Wars comic in question is The Star Wars, which is a comic adaptation of George Lucas's original vision for Star Wars. And I can tell you it was pretty bloody bad. I mean, it was just horrible. The comic had very nice artwork, but man, I'm glad that there was enough people to rein him in. And for those who are just tuned in, the reason why last week we did not get Jedi Academy was because I was horribly ill. I ended up getting some kind of stomach virus and was extremely sick for a bloody, not a week, but about 4 days. It was very, very unpleasant. And what was kind of annoying is I actually had finished most of my work on Jedi Academy. I had recorded all the audio and video and gameplay footage. All I had left to do was edit. But, alas, that was not to be. See that part where I couldn't figure out how to use a basic menu? When I actually edit this and the earlier part of the video together, I'm just going to cut that part out. And no one will ever know. Now, one other thing that is quite excellent is the fact that a kindly donator has donated a new PC to the channel, which was quite cool. I have a whole unboxing video for that going up tomorrow, actually. Its specs aren't any different than what I have now, but has a GTX 970 versus the RX 480 that I have, so I can finally have an NVIDIA card that won't make me have to worry about OpenGL. I'm actually really enjoying this third episode here. It's very reminiscent of... It's still more blood than it is Quake. But I kind of like this sword they give you. And of course, there's a gas can in the evil cathedral, because why would there not be? Let's do the old F6 real quick. Now, I recently finished the a Medieval. And I gotta say, that game I like a Medieval more than this. This is still a fun game, but a Medieval is just so much better. Yeah, did you see the trailer for Three Realms? I have not seen Wraith yet. Wraith Aeon of Ruin trailer. I have not seen that at all. I need to look that up. I still need to play at some point Ion Maiden. I just have not gotten around to playing that game as of yet. But as of tomorrow, I should construct that new PC, and it should be quite good. And now, of course, all the parts are used, but so are the ones in this. And the guy took really good care of it. Just waiting for my new SSD to come in. Just a basic little Kensington SSD. Now, there's one deal that I missed out on that really kind of pisses me off, though. There was a really cheap VR headset being sold by Walmart for like 50 bucks. I was like, oh, it's not going to be any good. All the reviews say it's good. It's like, no! And it's sold out, and the deal is gone. I've kind of wanted to experiment with VR without spending $300 or $400 on something I might not even like. Definitely not going to spend $500 on an HTC Vive, I can tell you that. Especially since I don't play that many modern day games. And I really just want to play... I want to play want to use VR with head tracking with, like, Doom, with the ultimate Doom visor. I think that would be one of the most immersive things ever. I'm not really interested in, you know, like that horseshoes and hand grenades thing, or that, Beat Saber or anything like that. Basically, I want to be able to play Doom, but in, you know, a more modern way. Now that cheap $50 thing didn't have head tracking, but yeah. It pierces all. It penetrates. It dices. God damn it. Press E to live again. The full Crystal of Madness enemy. Oh, okay, I'll check that out. So Iron Maiden isn't finished. That's the one problem with some of these things, you know, where, actually, well, here we go. Let's see, what did that do? Oh, I assume they're, like, going berserk and attacking each other. We all are mad here. We all go a little mad sometimes, I suppose. Kinda looks like kryptonite, though. Yeah. There we go, now. Madness! Oh, he has no one to attack. Okay, so that's just one of those things that creates monster infighting. That's actually kind of neat. Stop moving around so I can kill you! Get back here. Grab the key there. Save. Save. Using the Quake engine tech. You know, that sounds cool, but you know what I would really like to have? A Jedi Academy 2, you know, another game with Cal Katarn. I wouldn't want... Actually, you know what? Scratch that. If EA was doing it, you know, it'd be terrible, but still. I like these retro throwbacks well enough, but I miss the days when game companies were not afraid to innovate, and I mean true innovation and not microtransactions again and again and again. Evidently, Anthem turned out to be pretty bad. Not altogether surprised at that. I didn't really consider playing Anthem to begin with, because it looked like a third-person shooter, and it was. And to be honest, I didn't particularly like Mass Effect 2 as much as everyone else did, because it was effectively just a third-person shooter. Now, something I was actually thinking about today. You know, the RPG is by far my favorite genre of all time, but, and this is a big flabby bum, there's not that many RPGs that I actually like. I was trying to think of how many RPGs that are by far my favorite, and unfortunately, there is at most 5 that I consider my absolute favorite. You know, KOTOR 1 and 2 are the two at the top. Mass Effect 1, Dragon Age 1, and that's about it. You know, that's the problem. There's just not that many good RPGs. You know, then there's Fallout New Vegas, there's Fallout 3, Oblivion, and Skyrim, but really, the reason I don't rate Fallout New Vegas quite as high as you might think is it's still, to me, just a post-apocalyptic RPG. I want some more sci-fi RPGs. I still, of course, do like Mass Effect 2 and 3, but they're not nearly as deep as Mass Effect 1. Mass Effect 2 was a lot of fun, but it was kind of disappointing for an RPG fan such as myself. Now, there's a lot of older RPGs, you know, like Baldur's Gate, Diablo, stuff like that. I don't actually like Baldur's Gate that much, or at all, really. Still am a big fan of Diablo, but Diablo is still a fantasy thing. There's no dialogue options or anything like that, no romance options. And it's just a lot more thin than, say, Knights of the Old Republic. Now, one of these days, I am going to do a live stream of Diablo 2. And also, Diablo 1 is on GOG. If you haven't played it, play it. What the hell is that? It's a dog in a minecart. That's definitely a strange creature. I'm not sure if it's really the best design they could have come up with. Let's save, shall we? I don't hate Mass Effect 3. Well, real first-person shooters are good, but I'd still like to have, you know, something like, well, unique. But, oh well. I don't hate Mass Effect 3. In fact, I quite like it. it's just not very good. Actually, you know what? Here's a interesting take. Mass Effect 3 was in every way better than Mass Effect 2, right up until the ending. The ending was so horrible that it didn't ruin the game entirely for me like it did most people, but the ending took Mass Effect 3 from being a good game, or no, from being yet another excellent example of why BioWare was one of the best RPG companies of all time, and it just turned it into a game that was merely eh. I don't know what they were thinking. Actually, I do know what they were thinking, but still, that ending was pretty horrible. Thankfully, they fixed it, but even the fix wasn't very good. It's an example of, in the last 5 minutes, they completely ruined a beloved game franchise. And then you got the Dragon Age series, where, honestly, I stopped liking it as of Dragon Age 2, because they got the voice protagonist. They really simplified a lot of things. But that's how that went. And then, you know, Fallout's dead now, thanks to Vault 76. So, yeah. I'm looking for... I'm only looking forward to 2 games right now, and that, of course, is, that Obsidian Software RPG, well, theoretical RPG that's coming out, and Doom Eternal. That theoretical RPG, from what I've heard, it's going to be more third-person shooter than RPG, so while I'm sure I will enjoy it, I'd still rather have, you know, a real RPG. If somebody could make a game like Knights of the Old Republic, you know, a sci-fi setting with the KOTOR engine, I'd be very happy, because that would be a lot of, with good writing. Like, you get, like, fucking Mike Stackpole or Timothy Zahn to write the story. It would be, like, the greatest thing ever. Like, I would pre-order that. I would, like, super pre-order that. Because that's what I want. Fry me for what? Fry me to the moon? Fry me to the jump down. But, you know, when it comes to modern games, it's just... And then you know, I can only imagine, like, let's say Anthem did well. Somehow. I guarantee you that at some point, there would be, like, Anthem 2... No, let's say there was going to be another Dragon Age game. No, let's scratch that again. Let's say there was going to be another Mass Effect game. Mass Effect Andromeda 2. I guarantee you it would have... In an RPG, it would have a Battle Royale thing in it. Because I do know that Mass Effect 3 had multiplayer. Why would you have multiplayer in an RPG? What kind of sense does that make? You know, it's just... It aggravates me. But, at least, we got Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, and that's all that matters. So much scratching, so little time. Oh, yeah, well, Mass Effect 3 was great for the most part. Well, see... Oh, I forgot Mass Effect 3 even had multiplayer. But see, like, the Mass Effect 3 multiplayer wasn't even that big of a deal. I will say this, though. I did play it multiplayer, and the multiplayer wasn't really anything amazing. But, you know, it's like... Why have multiplayer in a RPG? You know, it's like... But I played it, and it was something, alright. I'd actually just completely forgotten about it in the intervening time. But that's EA for you. Because EA does what Nintendo don't. Actually, it literally does what Nintendo don't, because Nintendo still does pretty well. When it comes to RPGs, though, pretty much all you really get these days are, you know, fantasy things. You get, like, a couple of post-apocalyptic things here and there. And you still got plenty of JRPGs, but, you know, to be honest, I don't really like JRPGs with the overall storytelling aesthetic, so it's kind of lost on me. So I'm just kind of screwed when it comes to gaming. So it's like, all I get is one of the type of core gameplay mechanics. Well, it's a third-person shooter, and that's really all it is for the Mass Effect 3. Well, what's kind of ironic, though, is, okay, Mass Effect 3 did have that multiplayer. However, the RPG elements, the single player was more true to Mass Effect 1 than Mass Effect 2 was. You know, you actually had stats, you know, for once. You had stats in Mass Effect 2, but it didn't matter quite as much. You actually had stats, you know, you actually had armor that you could get. What's kind of funny is, I shouldn't have been surprised by this, but it still kind of annoyed me. You know, armor in Mass Effect 2 became DLC, because of course it would. Why would you want to be able to collect armor from downed enemies when you could pay $5? Which I didn't do. When I got Mass Effect 1, 2, and 3, I refused to buy any of the DLC. I refused. Because, you know, fuck that. And yeah, pretty much EA just creates, you know, microtransaction simulators, and that's about it. The games as a service, you know, it's like, my god. And people will buy it. People will buy it, but it's like... The people who like Anthem are liking it for a completely different reason than why I'd ever buy it. Because there's people who like the multiplayer a lot, but it's like... Where's the single player? Where's the story? Where's the character? If everything is just a Battle Royale simulator, then... Yeah, that's... Why is it even fun, I ask? Oh, come on! And I haven't even played any of the Battle Royale games. But jump! There we go. I think eventually I will go ahead and live stream more of that Turok. Just because I really quite enjoyed playing that. No, I probably should have drugged the gas can over there. I guess I will now. Because I could use some ammo or some health. Whichever the case may be. Oh my god, it's physics. We can pick things up. And let's jump over that. Level design for the third installment, or the third episode, is quite good. Really. Picked it up and immediately die. Citadel DLC. Nope. Did not buy that. Actually, when it came to Mass Effect 3, when I beat the game, I only played it one more time. I didn't even play it all the way through. I just reloaded an old save when that extended cut DLC was released, and getting that released was like pulling teeth. But when that came out, I played the game again. I saw the partially good ending, and then I never played it again. The end. And like Knights of the Old Republic, I love that game quite a bit. However, I did not, and still have not, actually I probably have it now just because I had the PC version, the Yavin DLC, because I know that came out, that was one of the early DLCs, and yeah, I did not get that either. I just do not like DLC. Now, I did buy the Mass Effect 2, what was that called? Arrival DLC, simply because that continued the story, and it was painful doing that, I can tell you that much, because it's like, why am I buying an extra level? Dragon Age was also particularly bad about that with its DLC. You know, it had... what did it have? It had, like, some quests that were walled off with a paywall. I think it had, like, some kind of armor. Yeah, it had a weapon. It had a weapon that was walled off with a paywall as well. But ultimately, when it came to the Dragon Age DLC... I bought the expansion, and I bought Witch Hunt, because I wanted to complete the Morrigan quest line, because I'm a big fan of that character. For some reason, people dislike her, but I found the Morrigan character quite endearing, I should say. There we go. Kind of reminded me of a more, you know, bitchy version of Bestila. But I was thinking about KOTOR today, actually. That review isn't all the way... That review isn't going to be until December. And one thing that's really awesome with that donated PC is I have that NVIDIA graphics card. And now I can actually play KOTOR without having to downgrade the graphics to work on the AMD card that I have right now. And that makes me very pleased indeed. because Knights of the Old Republic is an absolutely amazing game. It's of course not as good as Knights of the Old Republic 2, but that's not saying much. I mean, both are some of the best RPGs ever made. You know, Knights of the Old Republic 1 has a few minor issues in terms of user interface. It doesn't tell you when you've looted a chest, the waves of destruction. I'm sure for many of you out there in the more colder climes, you're seeing a lot of this. Whereas in Texas, we've got the AC on, because you know what? That's how we roll. Except, next Saturday, it's going to be super cold. Next Saturday, it's going to be in the 40s. So that's going to be fun. Now, in that new PC, it actually came with... I actually looked at it wrong when I was doing the unboxing. It actually comes with 16 gigabytes of RAM, so I'm going to add 4 from this one. No, I'm going to add 8, I should say. I can't do math. I'm going to add 8 from the PC that I'm currently using now, for a total of a crap ton of RAM. Not that I really need that much, but I'm going to do it anyway. The biggest bottleneck is, of course, the processor. Processor is still the AMD 6300, but I'm contemplating overclocking it. We'll just have to see. Story DLC, fan service, GTX 180. I'm sure it is great. Although for what modern game you could play on it, I do not know, other than PUBG or some crap like that. The dimming, cooling sun. Oh yeah. Now you know there's actually kind of a really awesome classic, almost H.P. Lovecraft-esque story from the early 1900s called The Last Redoubt. You can actually get it for free, but I honestly wouldn't read it simply because it is definitely an old book. It goes to show you linguistic drift over time. And the story is really dense. I tried reading it, I got about a chapter in and gave up on it. Oh, crap. There's actually a modern day... It's called like a translation. It's sort of like a modern day... It's not even a reimagining. It's the same story, but they clean up the language to where it actually makes sense to like a modern reader. Expands the characters a little bit. I think that was released in the 70s. But I've not found a copy of that. God damn it. But in The Last Redoubt, since it was written in the early 1900s, at the time, it was thought that the sun could dim and go out. And so the novel is set in the future, and in the future, the sun has dimmed, and everyone lives within The Last Redoubt, which is basically a arcology. And outside on the Earth are a bunch of shambling horrors and things of that nature. It's a cool concept, especially for the early 1900s, and it's something I'd like to read at some point. The actual translating it from early 1900s weird language to the modern day. It's one of those things, though. Language does change and grow over time. And that's something a lot of people don't realize. Now, I personally use a lot of idioms that are somewhat classical, but when you look at certain words, even from like 10, 20 years ago, they do seem kind of strange. Oh no, don't tell me. Okay, good. The game actually knows not to kill me when I immediately spawn. Case in point, there's a book I was reading earlier in the week. I already finished it. It was a previously unreleased Star Wars book. The writer got it edited for continuity and spelling mistakes and stuff like that. And then he released it free of charge. And it was called Star Wars Heart of the Jedi. Just look that up. You can find it pretty easily and download it as a PDF. It wasn't a very good book. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was kind of a meh book. But there's one really hilarious line, and I can only assume the writer was fairly old who wrote it. I mean, he kind of had to be in the early 90s, but still. Don't go in the well. The well opens. Well, guess where we're going. a house opens. But in the book, Han says to Leia... No, he says it to Chewie. He says, well, that just blows me. And he's saying it in response to 3PO being an asshole. Now, there's a whole plot reason for why 3PO is being an asshole, but I don't want to spoil it. But it's like, that just blows me? What? That couldn't have sounded good back in 1993! But that's linguistic drift. The most obvious bit of linguistic drift is, of course, the term boner. In the 1950s, it meant mistake. Now it means something very, very different. But I always just found that kind of funny. You know, how words and things can change over time. Actually, you know, it all kind of relates to dick humor, doesn't it? Because when you think about it, blows me, boner, and then, of course, the one that's the most infamous of all, wiener. That no longer is sacred either. So, it's just one of those things that I find hilarious. Over time, the stuff... When you think about this, like, over time, how we talk today will be seen as hopelessly quaint. Which annoys me, because all modern language is going to be is just, you know, cell phone speak. I still refuse to use the term lol. I have never used it, and I never will. I refuse to ever use it. It's like, that is the one thing I will never do. Like, there's a time when I didn't even want to text. Check the chat. Let's see. 1660. Oh, that's a... And yes, I am streaming. But yeah. I will never use lol. I didn't even want to text for the longest of time. I didn't even start texting until, like, 2011. And even then, that was because of reasons beyond normal communication. It had more to do with who I was communicating with versus just wanting to communicate quickly. And I still don't use the Feces book, or Twatter, or, oh, what's that called? Instagram, that's the one. I still don't use that either. Why? Because I'm not even sure what Instagram even is. I think somebody told me once, but I don't remember what it is, because it's completely... It's just not something I care about. It's like, the YouTubes is the thing I like to do. Oh, crap. We got the weird dog minecart thing. I don't know if that's supposed to be scary or super silly. It's a bit of both, really. God damn it. There's another weird internet thing called a Vine. I still am not sure what that's supposed to be. We'll be able to grok what we're saying. Exactly. Basically a picture site, and that's it, really. So, like Tumblr, then what's the difference? I've never used Tumblr either. I just never had any desire to do that. But that's one thing that even back, you know, around 2010, 11, I always found kind of idiotic, where people just put their entire lives on display, like on Facebook. It's like, why would you do such a thing? Or the ones that really, I think, are the most hilarious are the people who will say they're going on vacation on Facebook for everyone to know. It's like, you realize somebody could see that, and they're like, oh, they're not going to be home. Well, let's just ransack it for everything. And, of course, assumes you actually have anything worth ransacking, but you get the idea. It's like, people are so clueless when it comes to that. And yes, I do realize... God damn it. I do recognize the irony of me talking about how stupid social media stuff when I'm using a social media platform such as YouTube. Vines are short videos, they're dead. Good. Compared to the RX 580 1660. I'm still... God damn it. I'm still going to be rocking that GTX 970. Why? Because that's what I got for free. And besides, I'm playing games that are at the oldest from 2006. So, yeah. Now, what I plan to do for this PC that I'm using now to stream this is I'm going to try to use it as a Linux box. I'm not sure how well that's going to work, because I have tried Linux in the past, and I've never been able to get it to work right. We'll just have to see how that works out. But never leave a good part unused. Be nice if I had some health. You know, that'd be great. That'd be wonderful. Oh, that reminds me of something completely unrelated. There is one other RPG-ish game that I'm quite fond of. It barely counts as an RPG, but we're going to count it anyway. Kingdoms of Amalur: The Reckoning. That's another great game that is an RPG with more than just RPG elements. Now, the other day, by which I mean yesterday, I was playing some Borderlands 2, and I was thinking about how back around 2008, when they were first talking about Borderlands, originally it's supposed to be this really grim and gritty RPG. It wasn't even supposed to be that looter-shooter idiocy that it is today. Really, I can't dodge that fucking projectile, really? I probably have to kill him. And I wanted that game. I wanted the grim and gritty RPG, not the looter-shooter. I was so disappointed when it became what it was that I didn't even play it for like a couple of years. And Borderlands isn't bad, but it suffers from a massive tonal shift. And I gotta say, it uses a lot of, shall we say, Family Guy humor. The handsome Jack... Well, Borderlands 1 didn't even have any characters. You know, it was really kind of flat and dull. But Borderlands 2, with the handsome Jack character... You know, if you like Family Guy, you'll probably like the handsome Jack character. If you don't, you'll find him horribly annoying. And that's just because he is. But climb the wall! Okay, I'm not going to be able to climb that, so I'll have to grab another one of those. Crap. I'm going to blame the chat. So I was busy trying to read it. There we go. F6. Let's see. TI... Pseudo 1880. You can find one that isn't abused on Bitcoin mining rig. Okay, Bitcoin. That was something I never bothered with. To join. One moment. Well, I misspelled join. Joanne. Joanne! Okay, where the hell is that thing? One day I shall... Well, actually, for me to acquire a new graphics card, I need to actually buy a new processor, RAM, and a motherboard. And so, yeah, that ain't happening anytime soon. Especially since I, once again, just don't really have a need for it. All the games I play are old anyway. What I find delightfully ironic, though, is the only games I really play now that are new are multiplayer, like Friday the 13th, the game, and a few other things like that. It's like, well, once I only preferred single-player experiences. I still do, but they don't make them anymore. I'm trying to remember where I need to go. This is somewhat of a complex level. I remember seeing this on a YouTube video. Looks pretty neat. It's why I'm finally playing it now! Let's see. Hold on. Hook up other headphones, mic attached. And forgot I was streaming! Why do I always forget when I'm doing things? Ah well, such is life. Such is life, indeed. You hear things growling everywhere. Ah, there he is. I like how that crossbow is has so much recoil that I can actually kind of rocket jump with it. Rain, do you know the significance of a gold power supply? It's like, I've heard of them, but I don't really know why that's good.
Essentially, what they're using is the ranks power supplies in bronze, silver, gold is the caps they're using. In gold power supplies, they're using first run, first pick capacitors. They'll generally last the longest.
Okay, because I never really had a clue and didn't even bother doing any research on that because I didn't care. The power supply I have doesn't even have any kind of label on it. Gold, silver, or bronze. It was power supply cheap is what it was.
Which is fine. I mean, as long as it's not a rose wheel, it'd be fine.
Why would that be bad?
Rose wheels have a tendency to catch fire.
Well, it hasn't caught fire since 2012, so I guess I'm in the clear. Because that's exactly what that is. I got that in 2012 because it was cheap.
Sometimes you luck out, sometimes you don't.
So, okay, I did not know that would catch fire. that is bad. And
well, it's not as bad as the old gateway power supplies. Those things were death traps.
I never actually had a gateway desktop, but I did have a gateway laptop. And
well, the laptops were fine. This is the desktop power supplies. They went with the chunkiest power supplies ever.
Yeah, that's gateway for you. They were supposed to be super cheap. And then they got...
And there's no such thing as a platinum power supply because gold is the standard. It is the best capacitors, the best first lot of capacitors you can pick. That's why the price is highest, because the vendors go in and they start bidding on capacitors, and the tested ones, you know, ones that meet for every last requirement, those go into the golds.
Well, then that is cool. Now I have a gold EVGA versus one that could potentially catch fire, which would be bad. Even the CPU cooler is pretty good too. The CPU cooler is a cooler master with a fan. One of those large
probably
ones.
Hyper T4.
Is
that one fan or two?
It's just got the one.
It's probably Hyper T4.
Even the fans in the case are pretty nice. It's got one big one versus the setup I have, which is two small ones. So, while it might not be massively upgraded from the one I have, it certainly has more higher quality parts than what I was able to afford. Okay, why am I lost? I found that goddamn boss. Oh, it's in the well. Okay.
And Swole, Labo VR, looks fun. Not saying that them selling cardboard is anything impressive, but I'm pretty sure there's some PDF plans out there or 3D printed plans.
It's actually I lost out on a deal on a super cheap Walmart headset. I had it in the a shopping cart and everything, but I was like, you know what? Maybe it's going to be terrible. Why bother waste the money? And then the reviews came out, and it's really good.
I wouldn't say really good. I looked at the headset. It's not bad, but that being said, I have a feeling it might give you nausea.
Oh. Well, I heard there's a firmware update that actually fixes that.
You can't fix something which is hardware related.
Yeah. Well,
you can fix the refresh rate, but you can't exactly fix the particular hardware.
And then maybe I shouldn't feel that bad then. I don't know. I kind of wanted to try the whole VR thing with, like, the original Doom. Don't blow myself up. Or this. And hello, Jason Armstrong. Platinum Power Supplies. PSVR. Never actually tried. Well, I don't even own a PS4, so I don't know if that's any good or not. The shadow sunk our city. His monster stripped our bones. Well, of course, then again, evidently not that many people lived in that city because there's not a lot of bones. Just saying.
As for PSVR, it's actually not bad, but I would say wait on it until the hacker community fully embraces it and hacks the hell out of it for use on PC. Because you're just not going to get as awesome of an experience on the PlayStation as you will on PC when it comes to VR. And it's mainly down to licensing.
Besides, what VR games are even on the PS4 anyway?
There's a few, mostly platformers, things like that. Not bad, but you're never going to get Euro Truck Sim or some of the best racing simulators and Elite Dangerous with VR on a PlayStation 4. Just not.
See, that's one of my biggest problems with VR, is just the game choice doesn't really impress me much. Because it's like, Beat Saber is supposed to be one of the more popular ones, and it's just such a... It's basically just a phone game turned into a much flashier version of itself. And so I just am not entirely impressed by that. Okay.
Well, VR really, if you're like me and you're a race sim or race sim fanatic or a flight sim fanatic, it's awesome. But if the whole room scale VR, while interesting, I don't see a lot of people buying into it because that takes a lot of space.
And at the end of the day, what's it even really good for? It's just they're not making any game. I guess for me, it's not good for it's not that good because it's just a bunch of arcade things that just doesn't. Maybe I'll change my mind when I finally get a chance to try VR, but I just don't see myself really getting into it like everyone else has.
I don't know. I've been in the head-mounted display game for a long time. It can be quite good, but it's applications. You got to. I don't want to say you got to lower your expectations. You just have to have realistic expectations. It's really, really awesome for, racing sims, driving sims, things like that. First-person shooters, it's all right. It's not great. Yeah, it's better than it, started out as. That's for sure. But the problem is with first-person shooters is movement.
Well, aren't there some multiplayer first-person shooter VR things? I've seen some videos on that, so...
There have been integrations for it, but the thing is, you're working with stereographic 3D in a fairly limited field of view. That's why I'm saying it's not that great. I mean, I can crank the field of view on most widescreen and ultra widescreen monitors. Cranking the field of view without it being fish-eyed, the fishbowl style lens,
yeah.
VR is kind of the hard part.
See, what I'd like to play with VR, it could be done, I think, is an RPG. I'm sure that would probably take a massive amount of space to make, but I think that would be something worth...
If we're doing room scale, yeah. Room scale VR is interesting, but honestly, for something like that, and for first-person shooters, as weird and goofy and seemingly stupid as this sounds, the infinite treadmill idea is really the best for that. So because an omnidirectional infinite treadmill means you can get into them, you can move. That's why I choose VR for racing and things like that, because it's activities where the ability to move your head and look around like real-life driving, it really comes in handy.
One fish, two fish, red fish, dead fish. Has nothing to do with what you were saying, but, well, just had to say it.
Yep, and soon to be grilled fish if I had any say in it.
I don't know, it might be demonic. Might get some chaos corruption.
That or a wicked case of heartburn.
Yeah, I don't know which is worse. Keep your expectations low and you'll never be disappointed. Oh, that's a fact.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If you go in with next to no expectations opposed to, yeah, this is going to suck as the predominant rule, generally you'll have some pleasant surprises.
Now, KOTOR VR might be interesting. Even if it's not, like 100% body immersion. Just kind of like looking at all that in first person. Or barring that, like Skyrim VR. I think that's even a thing, if I'm not mistaken. But it may very well not be. My brain is not working today either. That I just will have to see as time goes on. Sadly, there won't be any sort of official KOTOR VR. That is actually legitimately creepy. That is a legitimately creepy thing. Now, like in VR, that would look even scarier, I think. The level design, for being such a pixelated game, this is actually pretty graphically impressive. Okay, I cannot fit down there.
Sometimes it's about the details opposed to, how much is there drawn on the figure.
Looks like I should be able to get in here. Yeah, I can. That's a little fakey. That looks like a Duke Nukem texture. That green crap. sound mix is pretty good on this too.
Yeah, that's one thing they really did get right.
The chaos crawls to me. With a good set of headphones, you can really hear that breathing. I'm glad to see that these developers were able to succeed with this, because Medieval was even better than this. I think they finally did release that Cthulhu game. I need to take a look at that. Although I have no idea if it was actually good or not.
Call of Cthulhu games have always been very weird. Some have been alright, others not so much. It's never been a must-play amongst the list.
Well, I guess because the thing is, you can't really fight him, so it's one of those things where I guess the ending would have to be kind of depressing. It's like, you lose. Well, what was the point of that?
Facing Cthulhu in general, or any of the Elder Gods, should pretty much be game over. Period. No ifs, no ands, no buts. That's game over. As soon as you see them, you're nuts. As minions, yeah, you can fight them and survive. You're not going to be happy ever again, but you could face those and survive. You know, facing with Hastur or Cthulhu, Shub-Niggurath, yeah, you're dead. Your brain is leaking out of your ears. You're dead.
I've always kind of wondered how that even is supposed to work. Because, like, obviously it's not him being, like, really horrific looking, because theoretically people should have a little better sanity than that.
Well, yeah, you don't immediately go insane, but it's one of those things that a bad DM has you immediately go insane. A good DM has it set up where you're questioning reality, you know, you're taking massive, you know, faults, and later on, then you just become an absolute gibbering wreck. Kind of in a fridge horror way. Your mind's like doesn't fully grasp what you're seeing until everything's done. If you've managed to somehow by some unholy miracle survive, then your mind pretty much goes into overdrive and realizes, oh wait, I don't want to live anymore.
Now, would that be like sort of a psychic thing? Like there's a psychic link between your mind and it, and that's why you go crazy? Or is it...
No, it's for the most part, it's a case of your mind starts to piece things together and realizes, this doesn't add up. Nothing adds up. Nothing about reality or whatever ever known adds up. Everything I've been living has been an utter lie.
And see, then, of course, you know, I got to try to find a way to get around that. To like, okay, now wait a minute. Okay, like, what if you were like sociopathic? Would that really affect you because you don't really care about anything?
No, actually, it would affect you probably even worse.
How?
Simple. In a sociopath's mind, they are the center of everything. You've just been confronted by something that sees you as less than a speck of dust. You are not everything. You are not anything.
Yeah, but then, like, what if said sociopath just didn't accept that as a fact?
Then they would already, before the encounter with said being, be completely and utterly mental beyond being able to have any mental faculties within, you know, acceptable society. They're already nuts.
Actually, just brought up another good question. Like, what if you were crazy to begin with? Or what exactly is the minimum level of mental capacity that you need to actually survive normal life? And what would that...
We have that answer. Ocasio-Cortez.
So if she saw Cthulhu... I think Cthulhu
would probably off herself if she saw Cthulhu.
I was going to say Cthulhu would run away. That'd be funnier.
That'd be hilarious, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, but see, he might be an elder... Well, technically he's a priest of the Elder Gods, but... He
is an Elder God.
I thought he was just a priest.
No, he is the son of the Elder God.
Okay. I say, like, he might be an Elder God, but he can't reach those level of annoyances.
Let's put it this way. On a scale of power, Cthulhu is pretty much... Imagine if we took every A-bomb, wrapped it all together, gave it sentience, and made sure it was nice and evil. That's Cthulhu. There's one thing Cthulhu fears. And only one thing that I know of. and that's his father Azathoth waking up.
Yes, the dreaming god. You know, I saw a video recently on H.P. Lovecraft. He was actually not really particularly popular when he was still alive. It was only after his death that people actually started caring about any of his literary works. Which kind of sucks for him, because putting forth all that work. Now, one of the things I've often wondered, though, how true is it? Okay, I cannot find the goddamn blue door. The level design on here is reaching hexen levels. Well, maybe not that bad, but still. But one of the things people like to say about H.P. Lovecraft is that he was massively racist. How do we know he was?
No, he wasn't. I've gone through his entire writings. He was not a racist at all. He was writing in the terms of the language of the time. Simple as that.
Because I figured, it's like, where did that come from? I'm definitely much more jaded when it comes to, Oh, the sword probably can cut that. Nope, it can't. Much more jaded these days when it comes to, media and somebody being called a racist this or a sexist that. It's like, did they really say anything? Or, you know, did someone say they did, and now everyone just believes that?
In the case of, you know, past authors, this is what I call Song of the South syndrome. For those of you who don't know, Disney released a movie in the late 1940s, early 1950s called Song of the South, and you know, it's the basis of the Splash Mountain ride. It was, you know, popular up until the 1980s, and after that, Disney refuses to admit they came out with that, and they completely rethemed Splash Mountain. Because there are certain, as Song of the South was taken from, you know, the Uncle Remus stories, which were written, you know, late 1800s before slavery was abolished, which the stories have nothing to do with. The stories are written as Aesop's handed down from people who were slaves. That's the only link to slavery it has. But people will always scream that, oh, Disney's racist, Disney's racist. Like, no, Disney's a lot of things. Scummy, nasty, cruel, disgusting. But racist is not one of them.
Okay, not there.
But you'll hear that because the stories are written in the language of the time. Language of the time is a lot different than language you use now.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier about the last readout novel that came out like in 1901 or something along those lines. About how it was set in the distant future where the sun had gone out, because they didn't know about supernovae and things of that nature at the time. And how basic... It was sort of like a Eldritch story before that was even a thing. And how basically shambling horrors walk the earth, but for in the last readout. It was sort of like a fantasy story almost. I actually tried. It's free, but it's definitely almost. It's virtually impenetrable to a modern reader. In the 70s, there was a re-release that translated it for modern audiences, but I've not seen it anywhere. Biographics video on HBO Shrift. See, I saw that same Biographics video. It's just, they said he was, but I don't know, you know, if he really was, or they just were saying he was. And Jason, I don't know if Kratos could kill Cthulhu. Probably not.
No, Ed, sorry. Kratos is okay versus the Grecian gods because those Grecian gods exist within an understandable and a usable universe. The universe has its rules. Those rules are regularly understood. The elder gods are beyond human understanding. They operate in the reality of the universe, which the human mind cannot comprehend.
And I can't comprehend this level because I can't figure out where to goddamn go. They definitely pulled out all the stops for episode 3, that's for sure. Because, damn. Is there a map? No, of course there's not a map. Why would there be? What is this, Doom? See, Doom didn't even need a map. I don't think those levels ever got complex enough for a map. But I can...
The TNT ones did, but that's about it.
Yeah, that doesn't count. That was Final Doom. And... evidently I rested, so... Is the book... Will the book let me do something? Because there's got to be something I'm missing here. Okay, I can't throw the book at the wall and expect it to do anything. I'm gonna take the book with me and think, nah, that's too obtuse for a game from this era. It's like, you would think you could cut this red jelly, but that doesn't do anything. There's nothing behind the stairs. That doesn't do anything. Already went in here 8 times. Nothing is in here that I can see. This is now devolved to, I'm going to walk in every room, mash the E key, and hope something happens somewhere to something. It's kind of like playing Hexen back in the day. It's like, you just retread everywhere you've went, and hope something changes. Really? No, not even that was. You can't jump in the little blood hole, which, okay, well that's suggestive, but you can't jump in there and expect it to do anything. All I did was just destroy that body. Nothing happened then. This is where I would like to have the ability to no-clip and just say, fuck it.
Yeah. And Jason, I'm not saying Kratos could not wound or, you know, severely... He might be able to incapacitate Cthulhu for a moment. Problem is, as a DM and someone who's actually read all of H.P. Lovecraft as well as the current role-playing system, Cthulhu's got this nasty habit of being able to regenerate at an absurd and comical rate. I mean, he's had an entire ship crashed into his forehead and recovered just fine. And we're not talking a small ship here. We're talking a destroyer.
That makes me wonder, like, why hasn't there been an actual Call of Cthulhu film? A real one. I know there was one that was actually done in the style of a silent film, which was actually pretty good. I'm talking about...
No, there's Mouth of Madness, which is good.
Yeah, I suppose. I almost don't really count that, because it's kind of like its own thing in many instances. Okay, that goes nowhere. It's like, I don't really... Where is the red key? Or where's the yellow... Where's the blue door? I can't suck that much. Although when I started the stream, I forgot I needed to select a... I went to level select and not episode select because, reasons.
And Jason, we're talking regeneration, which would make Deadpool and Wolverine blush. Essentially, if you fired a howitzer right into his eye, within a matter of seconds, it's just going to heal.
Where's the blue door? I'm about to go insane from this. Okay, there's nothing down here. This is where I'm tempted to look up a walkthrough. Because, once again, damn, there's no... Now, have you played this game before, Rain?
I have, but I haven't gone through it, so I'm just as lost as you are.
Damn. Well, that doesn't help. Okay, there's nothing over here. Okay, where am I? Okay, this goes nowhere. There's nothing on this side of this hole. There's nothing down the hole. And there's nothing over here. Because all this is going to do is going to lead right back the way I came. And there's nothing down here. There's nothing behind there. There's probably one crack in the wall that I missed. Because this looks like this is going to be one of those levels. Where you have to find one crack and hope that it's it. Kind of like that. Only that's not what I need.
Okay. Yeah, this is kind of Duke Nukem style, later level design.
Okay, how did I miss that? How? Oh, I see how I missed that. Okay. It has the exact... Really? If I die from those goddamn rats, after having... At least I know where it is. Really, I'm all the way back here. Doesn't matter. At least I know where it is. The texture's blended into the background. I don't feel so bad now.
Yeah. Thankfully, the level design isn't Descent to Undermountain levels of bad.
You know, I've never played that, but I do know it exists.
Trust me, be glad you haven't played it. It's a crashy, buggy mess, which just was not good.
From what I recall from a video I watched a number of years ago, it was a RPG that used the Descent engine, which that's the weirdest engine I think could ever be used for an RPG.
For its time, it could have been done. Problem is, Interplay rushed it, and they rushed it massively. It's when your level design requires the use of illusionary walls, i.e., doors which look exactly like solid walls, immovable walls, the bland ones that don't have any texture on them that would say, hey, this might be something different. Yeah, that's the entirety of the experience.
Yeah, see, I could never actually finish something like that. And that, one thing that I do find annoying is the fact that there have been so few sci-fi RPGs throughout the years. It's all primarily been fantasy.
Yeah.
And
there are exceptions, but they're like Elix, but Elix is not particularly that great. It's not bad, it's just not that great.
Yeah.
The storyline is bad, I'll be honest.
I tried that game a while back and thought it would be good. That's why I got a Steam refund for it, because it was terrible. It wasn't that bad, but it certainly wasn't worth the price I paid for it, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. And Jason, the first story I would tell you to read is Shadow over Innsmouth, or A Color Out of Space would be another good one.
See, that's one of those ones. I actually don't want to spoil it. I would recommend Mountains of Madness.
Yeah.
Evil penguins. God damn it. And people are such fans of Lovecraft's work, they tried to track down what plane he described that made it to the Arctic. See, that's one of those things.
I wish that he lived long enough for to fully understand and see Amelia Earhart. He could have written a good story involving what happened to her.
Hmm. That would have been an interesting thing. Although, what do you think ever happened to her?
Honestly, I think she might have had engine trouble and just the plane just went straight down.
Yeah, that's the thing that makes the most sense. I don't think she got captured by aliens or anything along those lines. Because that's just pushing it a little too far.
Yeah, it makes for good storytelling, not so much for a believable example of real life.
Because
at least not life as you know it.
Yeah, and it's not as though planes don't go down all the time, and usually it's something simple like engine trouble. Because planes are not as safe as one would like.
Yeah, safer than cars, but that's not saying much.
Yeah, because that engine goes, and you're not in the right position to glide down, and it depends on what you're over. If you try to ditch in the water, there's a good chance you can end up drowning.
It depends on the angle of attack as well. I mean, if you're gliding down at 11-degree angle, your plane's going to skip and break apart. You might survive, but your plane will not.
And then trying to get out of a sinking piece of metal is not an easy prospect.
No, it's a lot easier now that we have, explosive bolts on doors and things like that.
Yeah, but she wouldn't have had any of that, though. In the 30s.
No, not back then. You've been toast.
So, I don't think they're ever really going to find her body or the plane just because,
I don't think there's enough to find.
Well, there's that. It's just I think she went down to the Pacific, so that's a lot to search, and there's not really going to be anything left by this point.
Well, it'd still be something left, not much, and it would be scattered. But I'm saying, I have a feeling what happened is she had engine trouble or suffered a lightning strike, and if that's the case, that plane went down at an angle that there's nothing to recover, which you're not going to find anything.
Now, this game's getting really Lovecraft.
Burning ball of shrapnel which hit the water at, you know, near terminal velocity, and good luck finding anything in that.
Let's see, E3, M4. Man, these levels are really long. That took 48 minutes! 48 goddamn minutes! Yeah, I've never been scared to fly, Jason. I actually just can't fly in anything smaller than a, airliner. I tried to go up once in a Cessna when I was a kid, and that was a horrible experience.
That's because that's your first experience. It's not what you want to be in. Cessnas, I love them, but they're rattle traps. You feel every movement of that engine, every movement of the rudder.
And yeah, that I didn't actually throw up, but I had horrible motion sickness the entire time.
Yeah, I can't blame you. Like I say, I've been in more than a few Cessnas. I've been in, you know, flight training. I enjoy it. It doesn't mean I can't see, you know, other people despising it. In fact, I actually understand why people despise it.
Yeah.
Even the best maintained Cessna, you're going to feel everything.
One of the things that surprised me, I still remember this to this day, had to get water out of the fuel tank. So I was like, I never even had a clue that you had to do that until the pilot actually did that. I was like, wait, there's water in there? If there's too much,
Yeah, condensation will gather.
If there's too much, we'll crash.
No, if there's too much, the engine will just, you know, it's running way too lean and it'll turn into a glider.
One thing I noticed back then, this would be around 2000 and... Well, actually, I have some surviving footage of me trying to fly. Riding in a plane that was constantly moving. It was around 2001, about a month after 9/11. Talk about good timing, right?
Yeah.
But one thing that surprised me the most was there's a lot of standing water around. The world looks very different from the sky. But yeah, that Cessna was pretty... I went up there twice and had the same problem each time. I don't know what it is about it.
Larger plane would be fine, but personal two-seater Cessna, Piper Arrow, or something like that, yeah, just don't do it. Not unless you are used to it and have a really stout inner ear.
And I do not. For whatever reason, like when I turned like 5 years old, I could no longer even use a swing without getting motion sickness. I have no clue why. Anytime beforehand, perfectly fine. Every time after, horrible motion sickness.
It could be an inner ear thing.
And in the space year 2014, I went to that the livestock show and rodeo, which is a big deal in Houston. For those who've never heard of it, they have this fair with a bunch of rides and things like that. And I would not go today because I recently heard that like 15,000 people showed up.
That's entirely too many people for a state fair.
Yeah. When I went in 2014, it wasn't bad. But I went on one of those... it wasn't a Ferris wheel. It was... You had the same kind of concept, but they locked you in this little thing. This little cabin kind of thing. And it went around and around. Man, I threw up immediately afterwards.
Oof.
And I was sick the entire rest of the day. That was so bad. Okay, like... It was okay, that looks really cool. I don't care how primitive these graphics are. Oh crap, I'm being hurt by something. Really? What was I supposed to do? Okay, run away from the tornado, I guess? The blood NATO? But if you have motion sickness problems, you probably shouldn't eat a bunch of French fries, a turkey leg, and some funnel cake. That's a very bad idea. Because
that's a lot of heavy food.
Because all that came back up. And I was sick the entire rest of the day. To the point where, the annoying thing about going to the rodeo and the fair is you have to ride a bus. And so, I'm on that bus. And I'm like, just dying. I'm trying not to throw anything up. And we stop. We pull into the station, right? And I just lose it. It's funny now, but my God, was that embarrassing. Although I say it was embarrassing, no one seemed to really care. For whatever reason, everybody there thought I was drunk, and as everyone should know now, I do not drink. But even then, that didn't turn out bad. There was actually somebody there who was fairly nice, who gave me a, what are those things called? The little, bandana, that's what it was. Which was nice of him. But man, that was just so horrible. I mean, and that was just from riding one ride once.
Yeah, it can happen that way.
Ugh.
I don't know. I would have been tempted to just fully Linda Blair somebody who's, you know, making fun of me. It's like, oh, you voted.
Well, no one actually did anything or said anything, so they're actually kind of nice. But man, that was. It was embarrassing, but I was more embarrassed than I probably should have been. But it started out okay. I was actually able to go on one of these other rides. I don't even know how you describe it. It was something I'd never actually seen before, but apparently it's fairly common. It's this little, it's not like a roller coaster, but you sit in this cart kind of thing, and it goes around really fast. But then there's this little canvas cover that covers you up so you can't see. That was actually
like cyclotron.
I guess that's what that was. I don't know the name, but I didn't feel bad then. I actually got to go on a couple of rides before I got that massive amount of sickness. Like, there was another one that had the, there's another one of those things that spun around really fast, but it was able to spin around so fast that there was some simulated weightlessness, which was a lot of fun, actually.
That is definitely a cyclotron that you got on.
And I did not throw up from that, so...
Oh, there's a reason you didn't throw up from that. It's because you're basically experiencing centrifugal force. If my theory is right, and it is an inner ear problem, your inner ear is basically equalized pressure-wise towards one direction. So your body thinks you're moving in one direction when you're on a cyclotron or similar centrifugal force machine.
Well, if ever I go to another fair, I'm not getting on one of those Ferris wheels of vomit ever again. Ugh. Or at the very least, I'm not going to eat funnel cake, followed by French fries, followed by a turkey leg.
It sounds like the safer bet would be just go to a powwow. You know, you get fried corn, turkey leg if you want it, and instead of rides, we have things like axe throwing and knife throwing, things like that.
Ooh. I think they actually have that at a place called Trader's Village nearby. Although I've never been. I don't know if I'd really want to go now, just because anything around here, there's going to be way too many people. Just because the population here has exploded. Which I guess is good for the local economy, but going and doing anything is not an easy prospect. Now, speaking of going and doing something, later this year I'm going to be going to an anime convention. And for those of you who follow all the various controversies and things of that nature, I'm sure everyone has heard about that Vic Mignogna thing. And he's still slated to go. And recently, there was some group, the Kick Vic group, as they call it. We're trying to boycott Anime Matsuri. Yeah, people are going to really boycott that. Yeah, good luck with that.
They weren't going to go in the first place.
Yeah. I just hope there's none of those SJ-dubs that show up there trying to protest, because...
Oh, they will. But the good news is, everybody at the con can laugh at them.
I'm just hoping
because they can't get in without paying.
No, that's true. And it ain't cheap getting in either. It's 70 bucks for 4 days, which isn't that bad, but still. That's just to get in.
And as in the economy being a big scam, yes and no. Speculative economists, yeah, that's a huge scam. It's a massive scam. The law of supply and demand, no, that's something which has existed within humanity for thousands of years. That's not a scam.
Yeah, 70. One thing that is kind of annoying, though, is the concept that nobody over here really gets sick leave. I was talking to somebody from over in Austria. He was able to go on sick leave after getting into a massive car wreck. It's like, it'd be nice if I could get that.
Yeah, I've got friends in Germany who have similar, and I haven't seen him in ages, so I can't even tell you if he's alive anymore, but Salkin used to be from Switzerland, and he'd get sick leave from the bank whenever he had these problems, which he would cheat and we'd host. I suppose I can say it, even though it doesn't exist anymore, so it's not really doxing. We used to host an industrial, internet radio show, so he used to cheat and get quote-unquote sick leave so he could spend more time DJing. So,
well, see, that is technically the problem with having that here, because people would.
Oh, people would abuse it left, right, and center.
Yeah. I just would like it if to get some if I have massive vomiting and diarrhea, which is always unpleasant. Stop camping the tunnel mouth, you assholes!
It's a legitimate strategy!
No wonder they're in hell. Or wherever the hell this is. And yes, I meant to say it that way. Actually reminds me, Quake 3 actually had bot chats. Like, the bots could actually chat. And that bot chat, I didn't know this until just a couple years ago, was actually written by R.A. Salvatore. The guy behind Drizzt was able to write bot chat for Quake 3.
Yeah, he's got a weird history. He's done some interesting things.
It's like, and it actually sounds somewhat human, because I still remember that to this day. Really?
And yeah, GDP is not an indicator of quality of life. Best case example I can ever provide against it is look at Qatar. Qatar has a very high GDP. Qatar also has slavery.
Oops. Something nobody ever mentions about certain areas of the world.
Well, GDP is just gross domestic product. How much of, items are made in your nation and are ready to be exported or used by your nation. That's it.
And jump through the Stargate of evil. E3 M5. Oh. It's gonna use a controller this time. But for some reason the Steam controller doesn't work with this game. I don't understand it. It just will not work. Like, it will not, register at all.
The Steam controller is interesting. Part of it's actually pretty useful, part of it's just really weird. And then PC as a platform when it comes to controllers is kind of strange too, because here I sit with a HOTAS joystick, which is coming on to almost 19 years old, which works perfectly fine, but a lot of games these days demand DirectX input, X input.
Crap.
And this was made way before X input, but I can still use it on flight simulators and on Elite Dangerous if I so choose.
Yeah. Yeah, the PC and controllers has had an interesting history. Where once everything was just a one-button joystick, now pretty much the sky's the limit on that. I'm very glad we got away from serial ports, though. Never got any of that stuff to work.
Oh, the configuration was a pain in the butt. And Smuggler, I do, but I haven't been able to really of any note in the past 4 months, so it's something I could get back into.
And I still haven't bought it, unfortunately. You know, if I'd actually take the plunge on that VR thing, I would have gotten a $25 Steam gift card, and then I could have actually bought that and played Elite Dangerous with it.
Actually, when you die next, I got a message to shoot you.
So, well. Such is life. Oh yeah, John. Wow, there's too many Johns. Anywhere I go, there's got to be like 5 or 6. Anyway, glad you liked the Jedi Academy review. Honestly, though, I feel like I could have added more, but I don't know what it would be. It's one of those reviews where, like, I wanted to say more, but I just have no clue what else I could have said. Because it's one of those games that I have a lot of emotional attachment to, in addition to it actually being good. I initially played it on the Xbox, as I said in the review, but there was one summer where I played it the entire summer, just the multiplayer with bots. And that summer, there was a, this is something no one's going to care about, but I'm going to mention it anyway. There was a local radio station that used to have a really good lineup of music. What was that called? It's been so long since I've thought about this. It was a rock station. Oh, what was it? It's at the top of my... Rock 101, that's what it was called. It was a very famous one from Houston. And in 2003, that was their last year. And I remember listening to them all summer whilst playing that game. It's just something that still kind of stands out in my memory as being a particularly good summer.
Yeah, we used to have a nice punk station here called The Buzz back in '99, which I really miss.
You know, what's kind of funny is they either did have, or they still do have a station called that here. Although it's a bunch of generic crap. Like, it's nothing but generic. It's sometimes modern rock. I use that term loosely. But I'm not sure if they even exist anymore. I couldn't tell you. Because I don't listen to the radio. With the advent of the auxiliary... aux port. We'll just call it that. I have no need for radios. That's why I don't understand why people get Sirius satellite radio. Why waste the money on that?
Sirius used to be alright. I can't speak for them for now. The economy channels used to be good. Howard Stern was always kind of nice to have on hand.
I guess with that, but I don't know, it'd be easier just to, like, listen to recorded or previously recorded episodes and just have that for free.
Well, that's just it. You're not getting Howard Stern anywhere other than Sirius.
Really? People don't upload, like, archives of his stuff?
You might be able to find it on the web, but that's about it.
Huh. I would have thought... Because these days, you know, you can find, like news posted, like, almost as soon as it goes up. You know, like...
Yeah, but Clear Channel is the reason why Howard Stern's not on anything anymore. Because he basically... They tried to screw him. He gave them the finger and said, I'm going with Sirius.
Hmm. Didn't he used to have a TV show, too?
Yeah. Like I say, the big turning point you can point to for Howard Stern was really right after the 2001 Super Bowl and Janet Jackson's, wardrobe malfunction. That's when Clear Channel decided to go all moral Puritan. And he basically just gave him the finger. It's like, no, this isn't worth it.
That Super Bowl thing caused so many problems. And moral guardians. I mean, used to be, they're not even the annoying ones anymore. Now the radical feminists have gotten in on that.
They're the same thing now.
It's like...
the radical feminists are the exact same as the moral Puritans now. And the sad part is, Germany is creating quote-unquote porn to try to appease these people. There's no appeasing these people.
I do not even want to know what feminist porn looks like. That just sounds... It's nothing sacred to these people. Must they always try
German feminist porn.
It's like... do I even want to know what they do in that? Is it just a lecture?
It's very awkward. Like, exceptionally awkward.
Do they have to constantly keep asking permission to do everything?
Yes.
May I touch you here? And then they, like, barely touch.
I changed my mind. It's right.
It's like, oh my god. Really? Is there going to be, like, you know, feminist rock where it's nothing but just one idiot screaming the entire time without the benefit of music?
I think that already exists, but I'm not entirely sure.
Why am I not surprised? See, MCU noting how Jedi Academy was able to maintain continuity. Well, you know, in 2003, continuity was a big deal. It was really Lucas that was really bad about that, you know. The line, the Republic, which has stood for 1,000 years. Wait, wasn't it 20,000? It's like, thanks for nothing, Lucas. Now we gotta figure out how that makes sense. And they did. They were able to do it. And fit it within continuity that was even older than that. It was amazing. Oh yeah, one thing that's pretty cool. I just discovered this last night. Kathy Tears. Kathy Tears. She wrote Truce at Bakura. There's actually a review of that up at the channel. She actually is on record saying that the old EU was better than any of the new continuity. Okay, that was just
1 point.
And you know, I actually felt kind of bad when I read that because I thought Truce at Bakura wasn't that good, especially compared to Zahn's work. Now she's getting up there. But when it comes to like the EU, it was a big deal. You know, people actually cared. The big problem with the modern day stuff, in addition to all the political crap they keep injecting into it, is you can tell that the people behind it just don't care. You know, like Kylo Ren. You look at that guy, he's a Harry Potter villain, you know? And
no, he's not a Harry Potter villain. He's a reject Harry Potter villain. His commander-in-chief, you know, evil Ron Weasley, now he's a Harry Potter villain.
And it's like, you can tell they don't care. It's just like, what are we going to do that the children might like? And it's just, it's ridiculous.
Children won't like that.
Well, children in a base sense. Children that might or might not be...
As a child, I preferred my villains to have some actual threat to them.
Children that are like 20 years old. That's what I meant. No, they wouldn't be 20 years old. How old are millennials supposed to be now? Like,
anywhere from 25 to end up. It's the self-infantilized are really rather depressing.
I'll say. But, yeah, you know, honestly, Kylo Ren would have been bad for a Captain Planet villain, you know? And
Snidely Whiplash has more of a threat and menace than he does.
yeah, you just look at his face. Look at his face. Come on. How is that guy supposed to be threatening in any way, shape, or form?
Well, there's a way they could have made it threatening, but they could not have made it PG.
Hmm.
You turn him into the creepy stalker kind of guy, not the you know, Dark Lord, Sith Lord sort of thing. You turn him into Buffalo Bill.
See, he's not the creepy stalker guy. He's the pitiful stalker guy, because damn.
You want to make him threatening? Remake Silence of the Lambs. Cast him as Buffalo Bill. And let me pop in as an acting coach. I can make him a threat. I can make him genuinely unnerving on camera. But with his current acting chops and the role he's given, no, there's no threat there. You're about as... looking at him, you just look at him and say, "You're about as threatening as mildew on a bathtub."
Or as a soy boy. Is he gonna do? Annoy us to death?
Force annoyance is not a power, thank God.
No, I'd be for a good Sith power. Or would that be a light side power? Or it'd just be gray?
I think it'd be gray. Now I'm just picturing force-based practical jokes.
Well, they had that in KOTOR too. They had that in KOTOR as well.
Yeah, but it could be expanded, you know.
Eh. That's one thing I'm trying to decide if I want to mention that in KOTOR or not. How when the game came out, I was the same age as Mission Veo and wanted the wanted her to be a romance option, even though in game you're supposed to be like in your 30s. It's like, oops.
Yeah, that's youth. We're not going to chalk that up to, okay, big mistake. We're going to chalk that up to youth.
Mission Vale didn't look 14, I swear. That's another thing about the death of BioWare. You'll never get a character like that again.
No, not from them. We might get something similar in the future, but as for Star Wars, we're just not going to get anything of note or worth, worth any of our time.
Yeah, that is
same as for Marvel. It's dead, Jim.
Well, actually, it's John, but close.
Yeah.
That's the best I got at 10 o'clock at night. At least that's the excuse I'm going to use, because how would anyone know? But yeah, Marvel is pretty much circling the drain on that.
It's past circling the drain. Somebody who used to work the comic book industry, it's dead. It's been dead. The only thing that keeps it alive is people who don't realize it's dead.
Well, speaking of which, I've talked to 3 people who have gone to see Captain Marvel, and they all thought it was pretty good. They didn't see any SJW stuff in it. And these aren't people that are SJWs either. These are... Yeah,
but they're... you told me the demographic. They are the most forgiving, kind, good-natured people you can find. These are the people who'd probably look at, My Mother the Car and say, it's a watchable show.
You gotta admit, though, My Mother the Car at least isn't as insulting.
True.
It doesn't have... The biggest problem I have with Captain Marvel is Brie Larson. Even if the movie wasn't very good, I'd probably still want to...
It's not.
I've
got a long list of issues with Captain Marvel. Brie is on the short list. She's not...
But see, like, for me, since I don't really know much about the character outside of what was present in X-Men the Animated Series, because Captain Marvel kind of shows up in the X-Men Animated Series, but under a different name, Miss Marvel. But I can forgive character issues and things of that nature, but the actress herself kind of ruined it for me before the movie even came out. With some of her rather incendiary comments. And what was really sad is my mother was a big fan of the book, A Wrinkle in Time. She's like, yeah, we should go see it. And I was like, no, you don't want to see that. Because for those who don't know anything about A Wrinkle in Time, she also got up there and said some things that were rather incendiary. And that's one of the biggest problems with social media today, is that it lets people say stuff that they shouldn't say.
Well, here's the thing. She knew what she's saying. She's just to be as polite and PG as possible, she's the case of a jerk. She is a terrible person when it comes to personality.
Sort of, really? But little did you know, I have the power of quick save, or quick load, I should say.
And the film itself is terrible and not worth anyone's time. But Brie Larson, as a person, kind of a scumbag.
certainly, from her own words, she certainly sounds it, I gotta say. I mean, just keep your mouth shut and let people go see your movie. It's the same way with Feminist Busters. From all accounts, from people who've seen it, they said it was okay. The
No.
the improv
was
supposed
the improv was terrible.
And evidently there's a fan edit that removes most of that, and the movie's supposed to be passable. I don't know, I haven't seen it.
No,
so.
I call shenanigans because I've watched that entire movie multiple times to put up a review, and I have never laughed once. I generally try to have an open-minded and pretty light sense of humor. I'll laugh at a lot. I mean, it doesn't have to be. You know, I'm not expecting highbrow humor. I'm not so self-centered as to not be able to laugh at a fart joke. But they didn't even try. There's no effort to it. And I'll argue that, you know, Captain Cat Lady is far worse than Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters was just poorly written and directed.
That sounds...
Triggered is just... No. It betrays all of the previous movies set in the MCU before it.
Well, from what there's apparently a rumor that, oh god, a gravity mechanic. Ah! Yeah, what the hell? You have now entered Inception. Ah! They certainly, put a lot of effort into this. Because I haven't seen... Oh crap, no! No! Oh, you can teleport. If you, like, get to the edge of the map. This is really cool. I mean, not to distract from Captain Marvel, but this is something actually good.
This is something positive.
Whoa. Okay, and... Get it! Oh, I'm screwed. I'm gonna have to do all that again, I think. Okay, if I just stay oriented... No! Goddamn tree. Okay, I'll teleport off the edge of the map. I hope. No! Damn Eldritch Horrors. Now imagine if this had modern graphics. How much better this would be.
I don't know about better, but it would definitely be interesting.
Yeah, get it! Aha! Oh, come on, I touched that. It was a good touch. This isn't too gimmicky, but it is kind of annoying to maneuver. And it's Hollywood. No one there has a soul.
Yeah, everything there's a fake, especially the breasts.
That's not always a bad thing, if it's done right, but most of the time it's not. And smack into the mountain. That could be suggestive.
Only if it's consensual with the mountain.
It was just standing there asking for it, I swear. I think the biggest problem I have with the Kylo Ren character, if you can call it a character, is the fact that they named him Ben. Why would Han Solo name his kid Ben? Wouldn't that be something that Luke would do? And he did do that. It's like they were just trying to piss people off. Hey, come on, come on, come on.
Well, here's the thing. It's the same as with any poser. When you have somebody who, talks a big game and says, "Oh yeah, I'm totally into this, and you find out they've never read or seen anything related to whatever you may be talking about, it pisses you off even more. Because you realize they just lied to you about something they never needed to lie about in the first place. That's exactly where we are with Star Wars. You have a bunch of posers saying, "Oh yeah, I totally dig this movie. I totally dig this, book series. I completely dig the lore." They've never read a single damn thing.
Timothy Zahn, who's that? Speaking of Timothy Zahn, there's something else I read recently. It's a few pages from a book written by it's either written by Tom Veitch, or it's written by someone about Tom Veitch. Effectively, it's talking about the creation of Dark Empire. Now, for those who never read Dark Empire, it's actually pretty good, but Tom Veitch is not a particularly friendly individual, it seems. Because he spends most of those 11 pages doing nothing but shitting all over Timothy Zahn, saying that he didn't understand Star Wars and stuff like that. And his view on the Force, and Tom Veitch's view on the Force just seems a bit, shall we say, Disney-ish. Really? I got in there just to die? Disney-ish. It's where, like, the Force doesn't come from, like, individual training. It comes from... There's, like, this Gestalt Force consciousness that everyone gets their powers from. I'm thinking, like, what? Where do you get... I don't know where he got that idea from. It's, like, the stupidest thing ever. So, wait it's basically power to be a Mary Sue, is it not?
Well, we've already found out that Disney is rewriting the Force to include powers which were never part of the Force proper. So, yeah, essentially, it's become Mary Sue, the imaginary, invisible MacGuffin.
Well, see, the sad part is, that would actually go a long way towards explaining why Rey is so powerful. Because with Tom Veitch's view of the Force, you wouldn't need training, because just by virtue of being Force sensitive, you have access to all the training that all the other Jedi have done. Because there's this Gestalt consciousness that exists. So there you go.
Well, there is part of a consciousness that exists, but it's not going to, you're not going to be able to understand how to become a Force ghost. You're not going to be able to understand how to fully utilize Force powers. The first Force ghost was Qui-Gon Jinn, and he had to learn about that. The first known Force ghost, let me be absolutely honest here.
Well, light side Force ghost. Technically, yeah. Light side Force ghost, because...
Not counting for the Sith, I will give you that.
Exactly, because in Knights of the Old Republic, Ajunta Paul was one. Okay, I gotta save. I actually went through an entire playthrough using nothing but his sword. The only problem is you can't kill Malak with it. And I had no lightsabers because I kept selling them all.
Ouch.
I also got kind of screwed during one playthrough because I did not have any offensive Force powers. No Force Lightning, Force Drain, anything. And you can't take out the various Force dead bodies there. That house. The neighboring garage opens. But you can't actually kill the Force batteries that Malak uses. You can't kill them unless you have a offensive Force power. So I was screwed on that one too. It's a good thing I had an earlier save, because I played that game so much that I actually did legitimately experiment with different playstyles. One of the few games I actually did that. How can I be here? Wait, what is this, Max Payne now?
Actually, the idea of the first Max Payne with some of the carryover from this, with a little bit more existential horror, would be a good combo.
Well, I mean, it hurts to remember, so evidently his family died or something. Similar to Max Payne. Max Payne is another game that actually, I already did review that. I need to actually stream that at some point. Because that game still holds up pretty well. I mean, yeah, it definitely has aged, like, a lot, but it's still really fun, and that story is still pretty good. I think that was like using the id Tech 3 engine, potentially? I vaguely... I think I mentioned that in a review, but I don't remember what I said. Oh, there's the door. And, you know, Leia, I think, came up with the original name of Jason, at least in the original EU. So I don't think she was really that close to Obi-Wan. And even then, I gotta say, I've never been particularly fond of the name Ben anyway. Just because that wasn't his real name.
Yeah, it's a pseudonym.
And so why would you name your... It would have made more sense for it to have been Obi-Wan Skywalker or Obi-Wan Solo, because that's his real name.
Well, yes and no. I mean, Luke did kind of know him as Uncle Ben for a while.
With great power comes great... Never mind.
Not that Uncle Ben.
But still, it's just... you know, I get that, but... I still think it would have made much more sense for him to use the real name, not the fake one. It's just something that's always kind of annoyed me. But I guess Luke can name his kid whatever he wants. For now. Especially since he doesn't exist. May Ray Sue. Does Ray actually have a character? Once again, I haven't seen it. I've not subjected myself to that.
Not really. She comes across about as emotive as a plank of plywood.
Like, does she say anything? Do anything? I mean, like, does she have, like, a famous line?
No, not really. I mean, she gets excited about getting back into the freaking Millennium Falcon, which is not her ship in the first damn place.
But she knows what the Millennium Falcon is?
Apparently she recovered it, because God knows it makes sense for Han Solo and Chewie to abandon it.
Yeah, that was something I really... That would have ruined the movie right there for me anyway, because, really? They're gonna do that? Because, if you look at the EU, they would never do that. But does she, like, know anything that's happened? Does she know who Luke is?
And not initially, no, but she knows how to fly the Millennium Falcon better than frickin' Han, apparently.
And so
Han just looking at it.
So, does Han get to do anything? I guess it's a better question. Or
He gets to die.
Well, yeah, there's that.
No, I'm serious. That's all he really gets to do. He gets treated like a total clown shoe.
Really? Why am I not surprised? But still, it's like... Does Leia get to do anything? It's like, once again, I know basic plot elements, but just like, did any of the real characters get to actually do anything of note, or is it just all Rey all the time?
Yeah, it's pretty much all Rey all the time. I mean, Leia, we're told she's a commander, but we don't see her acting in a commanding fashion. She gets launched out in the air, you know, the bridge when it's blasted to bits, killing rather important character, but not killing Leia somehow. And it's just freaking Admiral Holdo. I mean, why do we need Captain Purple Hair?
Yeah.
Because she's not a captain. Here's the thing: if anyone here has any admiration for the Navy at all, you know what it means to be a captain. This woman is the polar opposite. She would have never made it out of cadet school. It would have just been, bye. You are unwilling to inform your agents, those working under you. You're unwilling to inform your officers and your crew what you're doing dangerously, to the point where you've got a mutiny on your hands, and a rightful mutiny.
So, like, she doesn't say anything? Doesn't, like, say...
She doesn't reveal the plan at all, and the plan that she has is stupid. Like, horrifically stupid.
I'm glad I missed all that. The more I learn about Force Awakens and Last Jedi, the more...
Well, I'm not even getting the fact that the whole premise for The Last Jedi is basically a chase which makes no sense by any means of physics whatsoever. Not even in the applied physics of the previous Star Wars universe. Okay, so you got two ships that are roughly the same speed, but apparently, you know, the Rebellion cruiser is lighter and faster. Never mind that, you know, weight has no bearing in space, only mass does.
See, that's something that I always find kind of funny when it comes to Star Wars, is the chase in space. The chase in space. Why don't they just go to hyperspace? I mean, why would you chase at sublight? What kind of sense does that make? And I guarantee you there's no interdictor.
Well, here's the thing. The entire chase, even if we were led to believe that, okay, for some strange reason, physics, thermodynamics, and everything we know about the Star Wars universe no longer works. Alright, it is by no means any trouble for the First Order, the pseudo-empire, to send a ship, or, you know, a flotilla of ships against the, you know, the very ragtag group calling itself the Rebellion, which is not the Rebellion. They are the Order. I'm sorry. Right now, the First Order is the Rebellion. They are the underdogs. Alright. Just warp around them and double back. We know that, you know, warp travel in the Star Wars universe can be very precise. The best case example I could ever give to you is the immediate warp jump that Han did as a means of escape. Okay, that still applies. If that movie is still canon, which it is by Disney's admission, the same can be used. The whole chase is pointless, and the plan is essentially, oh, we're just going to have everybody escape via, you know, escape pods to the salt planet. Because we can't do ice, because that's been done before, so now we got to do salt. Which is exactly the emotion you're going to be feeling after watching this movie.
Certainly sounds it. See, that's the thing I loved about Zahn. You know, why don't they go to hyperspace? Well, they got an interdictor. Boom. Makes sense. You know, there you go.
Well, here's the biggest rub. Okay. After all this chase and this hoopla, which amounts to nothing, and apparently, you know, warps, you know, going to warp can now be weaponized. Never mind the fact that we've been told in every last piece of Star Wars fiction that going to hyperspeed, you're essentially creating a bubble around your ship. You're tearing your ship out of the physical realm into a fold in space. Ergo, you can't use your ship as a giant, you know, light speed torpedo like is used in this film. Even without that, it still makes no sense, because you have the First Order and you have the so-called Rebellion, the Order. Alright, this is all that's left. There is nothing left for this to be considered a war. This has gone from a war to a battle. There are maybe, what, 25,000 people, both sides tops?
Yeah. That was another issue. From what I've seen, is like, one fleet does not constitute anything. Evidently, in the opening crawl of Last Jedi, they're saying that the First Order took over the entire galaxy now.
Oh, there's nothing left to take over if that's the only forces they have. So, you're led to believe this is it.
Episode 9. I don't know what they could possibly do to make it worse, but I'm sure they'll find something.
Well, here's the thing. The way it ends, there's nothing they can do to make it better or worse. They're going to have to go with a completely different storyline, because they killed their big bad. That storyline's dead. Imagine if they killed the Emperor in Episode 4. He shows up, oh, he's supposed to be this big bad. Oh, he's dead.
Yeah, you know, I had heard about that, where they kill off, what's his name? Snape, Snick, something like that. Smoke, that's his name.
Snoke.
Oh, Snoke?
Yeah, I know. The naming convention is terribly stupid.
Snoke? I thought Smoke was bad. It's like, what is it, a Mortal Kombat character? But Snoke? What What is that? What is it even supposed to...
As far as I'm concerned, as villains go, you might as well be named Emperor Snorks, because he's about that threatening. He's as threatening as a 1980s children's cartoon. But, you know, underwater creatures with snorkels on their freaking head.
Snoke, huh?
He's got no backstory. He just basically played up, oh, he's supposed to be this big bad. He dies ingloriously, quickly, without a fight, without any fanfare, and his backstory is never explained. He is such a nothing character that he actually leaves a void where a character should be. To say there is nothing to him would be insulting to the term nothing.
This is sad. I mean, Snoke. I just can't get over the name. Like, now I knew somebody who went to see that who was not an SJW who liked that movie as well. Although, in their defense, they did say they had no idea what was going on. But
the
that didn't
visual
look nice.
effects are fine. It's just the problem is that it is one of the absolute worst Z-tier fanfiction stories I have ever seen. That, and it has some of the worst fight scenes ever.
Oh yeah, the lightsaber duels. Does anybody... Okay, does Rey actually lightsaber duel somebody? And
she does, but the problem is... Okay, we know the basis of Star Wars lightsaber duels. They're usually... Even the first ones took weeks to months to choreograph. They took a while. They were high effort. There's no effort here. You're seeing people drop weapons disappear. It's like watching a... Okay, as a martial artist, and calm down, cool down, I'll put it this way. Imagine a bunch of white belts being, you know, this is their first day in class. Normally it's hand-to-hand for the first year, and then you teach them, you know, different katas, and then you work them up to their first weapon, which is usually a staff, a bow. Alright. Instead of that, first day in class, kids, here's some nunchaku. Don't knock yourselves out.
So, wait a minute. Okay, I'll put it another way. She's Star Wars kidding, then.
It's worse. I have more respect for Star Wars Kid. At least he knew he was an amateur and put himself to film, realizing, yeah, I'm nothing great. I'm just having fun. I can respect that. That is somebody just having fun and putting it to film. It was never meant to be, oh, I'm supposed to be some badass. No, it's a case of, I'm a big fan. Yeah, I'm a bit of a dork. I'm having fun. I'm having the time of my life. I can respect that. In fact, I can find that endearing. This I can.
I almost want to see that just to see how bad that is, but at the same time, that's going to be...
the fight scenes are available on YouTube. You can watch it anytime you want.
But it sounds so painful. I used to have a wooden model of the Viper Blade from KOTOR, but I have no clue what happened to it. It was nice, too.
I need to pull my bow cannon over such out of the storage, because I haven't practiced with those in a while. I've also been practicing with basic arming sword.
That's probably more practical than a katana. Katanas are cool, but they're mainly slashing.
You'd be surprised. They can thrust all right. You're not going to thrust the efficacy of, say, like a falchion or, you know, falchion or arming sword, or even, say, my favorite, the gross messer. But you can do pretty well with a katana. It's not some, oh, this can cut through a tank, blah blah blah. No, it is a slashing weapon. It's a 3.5 foot long razor blade.
Crap. God damn it. I don't think they cut through a machine gun barrel.
No, you're gonna wreck the blade.
I think back when the Mythbuster still existed, they tried that and it failed badly.
Yeah, they ruined a lot of blades.
Oh crap. I need more Riveter ammo. Ooh, this is really cool. It's like, this is a very impressive game, especially for what it is in terms of graphics. I mean, this is legitimately creepy.
Well, it's the one thing that AAA will never realize. It's not about how many polygons you can push. It's not about, you know, what crazy wild graphical effects you can overlay. It's the intent that matters.
Yeah. And no, Tadushi, I did not fight Stanley. Although, I guess he kind of looks like him to a little degree, although the facial structure's all wrong. And also, I noticed he was still concealed carrying that 1911 back then.
Reminds me, I gotta build a better holster. The one I'm currently using, I had to go out a couple days back for groceries, and it's useful, but man, it kind of rubs into my hip.
Yeah. The one I use is a Uncle Mike's Spectre holster, because it's black. And I got that many years ago, never used it until recently. And I'm actually going to cover that in a video, but I'll mention it here. The only reason I use it is because I realized you can loop the belt around it! And once I figured out I could do that, well, it made concealed carrying a lot easier, and that's the end of that story.
I got an old toaster oven. I think I'm going to just yank out some leather, get back into that, and grab some Kydex.
That's way more fancy than that.
No, it's actually not. It's heat the Kydex so it roughly forms the shape of the gun, heat it around the gun, press it, take some scrap leather, you know, mink oil, and you're just basically drilling holes and applying, you know, screw ends. So just lock the two pieces together. Not fancy at all.
That doesn't sound so difficult, but I imagine you actually have to have skills to do that.
No, not really. Just need a toaster oven or a heat gun. And there's
both.
tutorials on YouTube. There's tutorials all over the internet. Not that hard.
I might actually look at that at some point, if it's not that difficult.
There's one project I want to do which is kind of difficult, and that's make a Kydex holster for this Cold Steel 1917 Bowie knife, which I actually was really impressed with it. So much so that I'm still searching for a nice piece of antler to make it to the handle.
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy... Well, actually, it shouldn't be that difficult, though.
It's the shape of the handle that's difficult, because I've got to find a long enough piece with a kind of a forward rake to it. The wood handles it comes with are actually really good, but for what it is, for being, you know, the $119 Bowie, it's surprisingly good. I mean, it's holding up to Bowies I've had which cost $1,000.
Interesting. Well, Cold Steel generally makes good products. At least from what I've seen throughout the years. Although, I will say I've only bought 2 of their products in the past 30 years.
I'm mostly a Spyderco guy and a Case XX guy, but that being said, some Cold Steel stuff hasn't actually impressed me.
You know, I had a Case pocket knife once, and it's one of those... It's one of the reasons why I don't carry a pocket knife anymore. It was expensive, too. At some point, while I was working, it slipped out of my pocket and was lost forever.
Yeah, that's why I keep my case knives for the most part as collectibles. I really dig them. I can dig the old school cool, but I've lost a few, and thankfully they're not the heirloom ones I lost. They're just ones I bought myself. Yeah. If I had lost one of the heirloom ones, I was like, oh no. I'd be as pale as a sheet and sick for weeks.
Because you don't want to lose that kind of stuff. Thankfully, I've never actually had that happen. Really, I can impale myself. Oh, you have to do it. Okay. Well, that's certainly creepy. An Uber benchmark right now, comparing the RTX 270 to the RX 580. $550. That's expensive. And I had no.
2070 is just not worth it. I'm sorry. It's $550 for something which is really no more impressive than a 1080 Ti, and you get RTX. What do you friggin' do? There's only 2 games that support it right now. One is good, but it's, you know, on the Unreal store, and the other is a flaming pile of trash.
What isn't a flaming pile of trash is this. Look at this. This is crazy. And well, it's just... This is pixelated. This is less than 3 gigabytes in size, and this is already more graphically impressive than Battlefield 1 or World War II. I mean, look at this. That is the difference between talent and money. Just because you have a lot of money does not mean you can have talent.
Yeah, just the BioWare.
How the mighty have fallen. Anthem.
No, I won't say the mighty have fallen because the mighty have moved on. All that's left now of BioWare is a husk. They have the name, that's it.
Yeah. You know, that reminds me of when they announced Command & Conquer Generals 2. And, there was a person I was friends with that was, like, really excited. And Command & Conquer Generals 2 never came out! And I knew it wouldn't. It's not me being cynical, it's just I was realistic, and, like, I knew it would never be released.
Yeah, it's... I'm a big Command & Conquer fan. And I'll be the first to admit it, I have the friggin' Nod ring. I have Kane's ring in my possession. I am as close as a fanboy as one can get to the old Command & Conquers. That era is gone. Joe Kukin said his goodbyes, he says thank you to the audience. For that, I am thankful. But it's over. That's it. All's left is the name.
That's the case with a lot of things, you know? It's like, if they ever did come out with, say, another, Knights of the Old Republic, and EA Knights of the Old Republic, can you imagine what that would be?
Won't have to imagine for too much longer, because Disney has pretty much said, yeah, we're happy with EA. So, we're getting another Star Wars game, whether we like it or not.
Imagine Knights of the Old Republic, but like Mass Effect Andromeda.
No, it'd be worse. Because nowadays it'd be so loaded with microtransactions, you have to fork over another $45 just to be able to see one of the endings.
I would not be surprised by that, like, at all. Well, there is the Rage cheat codes, so yeah. No, don't fall. Yes, this part is indeed difficult. Let's see. I missed some of that. Actually, before I continue getting killed, I'll actually show on camera. This is a sneak peek of tomorrow. Oh, see, this thing's heavy though. See, I do an unboxing in the morning because I went out to take the trash out since it came on trash day. God, this thing's heavy. Ugh. Hope I don't drop it and break it.
The ATX mid case, yeah, it's gonna be heavy.
There we go. And there is the new PC SAN hard drives. When I first... You'll have to look at my leg for a moment. Really? Shut up, Xbox. Nobody likes you. Okay, here we go. So yeah, it's got a gigabyte motherboard. That I actually like the placement of the SATA ports a lot better. Let's see if I... Well, I don't actually lack a hand to show, but you can probably see it. There's that...
Yeah, you've got the cooler on that is a Hyper T4.
And there's the fan. It's not attached. Now, I say in the unboxing that's 8 gigabytes of RAM. That's actually 16. Those are two 8 gig sticks. There's a little red thing. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, yeah, you can't see it.
That's, of course, their Dominator memory.
I don't think so. I remember I pulled them out yesterday. I think I'll pull it out now. So now we're doing Computer Playhouse. Let's see. What are you? What is it? Yeah. There we go.
I think that's Corsair Dominator.
No, it's whatever that is.
Oh, your RAM. It's DDR3 1330 spec.
No, okay, it says GS Kill Ripjaws
no,
X.
Okay, G-Skill Ripjaw. Okay. I'm wrong.
Yay! First time for everything. But
yeah. It's still DDR3 and 1330. I think is the front clock speed on that. I'll have to check.
Okay, I'm not going to try to put this in on while I'm holding this massively heavy thing. So it's got a Zotac.
The Psychic. That board won't support DDR4. So you can take the attitude. You can shove it, buddy. Sorry.
But yeah, there's the power supply that thankfully won't catch fire. There's the excuse the horrible camera work. I'm trying to hold this. This thing weighs like 20 pounds, so.
Yes, it is rude of me to say that. But you know what? I'm going to say it anyway.
See, there we go. It's got that Zotac GTX 970. I think it's surprisingly small for what it is. So, yeah. It's going to be an interesting little build. The SSD is supposed to be in tomorrow, and once it comes in, I shall be working on it for the majority of the day.
Oh no, I'm going to be banned from the socialist medias that I don't use.
Okay. That thing was heavy. And
yeah, it's an ATX mid case. That thing is solid aluminum.
What's kind of funny, though, is he's got the same exact case that I do. Although, there's one significant difference. His is less dusty than mine, for one. But for another, these little things here have annoyed me since I got them. Look at that. You barely push them. They go in like they're barely held in. Those are actually held in quite stiffly. I don't know what the difference is. I can only assume it's a later revision or something like that.
No, it's mold, basically. When they pull it from the mold, they have to retool occasionally. So some retainer clips are stronger than others.
Well, they certainly are significantly stronger. So I'm really looking forward to doing that build tomorrow.
Mario, with that case and the components that's in it, I can tell you it's probably close to right at 13, 14 pounds. It's not light.
I cannot imagine how much he paid for shipping, but I heartily appreciate it. Also, as a sneak peek, the guy who sent it had one of the most hilarious names ever. Not the real name, but the Steam name. Yeah, Uncle Shagnasty.
I approve.
So, Uncle Shagnasty sent that, and I highly appreciate that, so. Because that is going to allow me to actually use games that have OpenGL. Whatever next. And it seems like every Star Wars game back in the day used OpenGL. Don't fall!
Yeah.
Because that's the one big problem with the RX 480. I'd have to like really seriously downgrade the graphics on KOTOR. Because it uses OpenGL, and if you don't do that, it literally will crash as soon as you try to launch the game. KOTOR 2 doesn't do it, but KOTOR 1 does.
Well, here's the thing. OpenGL is something that was used a lot back then and is now used for indie games and like that. So here's the thing. There's going to be a push to stop OpenGL, which I'm actually kind of against because, as it sounds, it is an open graphics library. We need more open libraries.
Everything's going closed, but then again, everything's a service now, so. See, that's a crazy thing, you know. In 10 years, will people even be able to play some of these games?
Depends. If we're talking archivist, yeah, so someone will find a way. I mean, right now, Linux is getting to the point where it's supporting quite a bit. As for Microsoft, that's anybody's game. As for Mac, Mac is just screwed. They're actively going against OpenGL, so Mac is a graveyard.
Not the Mac.
Yeah, blame Tim Cook.
See, when you mentioned that name, I thought of Tim Pool for some reason.
No, I don't blame him for much other than being far too naive.
Yeah, I have noticed that. But yeah, I never cared about Apple. Even back in the 90s when I didn't really know anything, I didn't really find it to be that interesting.
Well, back in the 90s, from your perspective, that's when Steve Jobs wasn't at Apple. He was at Next.
Which I've never even heard of. Next?
Next computers were kind of important, because that's what Doom was programmed on.
Really?
Yeah.
What computers? Apple computers, you know. Oh, wait.
No, it was Next. Go look. You can actually look it up on YouTube. It's actually a really interesting story. Retro Man Cave and a few others have the story fully covered.
Yeah, I don't think
you can actually even... There's one video uploaded, I gotta find it, where it's in crew post Wolfenstein, their friends and family kind of having a party. And it goes on for like 2 hours, but it's look into what the id offices in 1993 look like.
So Next computer. Now, that is just something I've never even heard of. I'm surprised I haven't.
Well, Next OS became essentially what Leopard and the later Mac OS is, which wasn't bad. I'm not going to knock the OS. Here's the thing. Let me rephrase this. I'm going to knock the OS, but I'm not going to knock it for what it did. I'm going to knock it for what it became. Early Mac OS, kind of rubbish. Usable, kind of rubbish. When Next OS became the Mac OS of choice, and eventually, became Snow Leopard and all that, it was pretty usable. And then it just became this absolute mess, obfuscating absolutely everything, treating the average user like a retard, and it's bad.
At least it's better than treating the average user like a criminal by locking everything imaginable down.
Oh, it treats you like that as well. It obfuscates everything. If you want to get pseudo access, good luck. You're gonna go through hell. Oh, I hate, absolutely loathe, and despise working on Macs.
Well, my first exposure to Apple was 2006, I want to say. For my birthday, I got from a relative a iPod Shuffle. Now, at the time, I already had an MP3 player, a RCA Lyra. I still have that thing, I just don't use it anymore. And so you got the RCA Lyra, right? It has 256 megabytes of internal storage. I just walked off the edge of the cliff. You know, it's pretty basic, but you can plug it into the computer and put music on it. Now, that seems like an amazing concept, right? The iPod Shuffle, you can't do that.
Nope.
And
with your iTunes.
In 2006, I didn't even know what iTunes even was. I thought it was broken. So
essentially, it is broken by design.
It's like you plug it in the computer, nothing happens. Like what? And an iPod Shuffle. I don't know if they even make those anymore.
No, they don't make any iPods anymore.
Okay, so the iPod Shuffle, for those who don't know what that is, it's this little postage stamp size. It's not that small, but it's a pretty small little device. There's no screen or anything on it. It's supposed to be like this nice, light little music player. So you don't.
At the time, it was the smallest MP3 player you can get.
No, it was? Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't really know if it's working. I don't even think it had an LED or anything on it.
No, it had no visible, confirmation inputs whatsoever. You had no UI. You had buttons.
And so I plugged it in the computer. Nothing happened. And we ended up taking it to the Apple Store. Now, for those of you who've never been in an Apple Store, thank whatever God you may or may not believe in that you've never had to go in one of those. It is the most pretentious store you've ever been in. It's got the... In 2006, it probably wasn't as bad as it is today, but it's got like this horrible music playing. It's got all these advertisements on the wall. It's just... And the people there... The people that work there act extra smug. I don't know if they pay them extra for that or not, but man, they act smug. And so, we take it there. I still remember this to this day. It's like, yeah, we'll give it to the geniuses. Like, sure, they're geniuses. That's why they're working in an Apple Store. But anyway, And eventually they say they can't figure out what's wrong with it. It finally took... I think I talked to somebody about it or something. Like, oh yeah, you have to use iTunes. So they didn't even know their own product.
Yeah, it's not. Nothing's changed. Genius Bar is still absolutely horrible.
Oh wait, they call it that? I thought they were just joking.
No, it was their answer to Geek Squad. They call it the Genius Bar, and the problem is that I feel actually sorry for the people. As someone who used to work Geek Squad, I feel drastically sorry for anyone who works Genius Bar because you're being underpaid, underappreciated, undereducated, and just essentially working a crap job. It is right up there with working for fast food.
Yeah, I'm glad I was able to miss out on that. Because it's just working at a place called a Genius Bar, that just kind of shreds your overall dignity there, I think. But,
I just asked Lewis Rawson and he...
Let's see, Apple stores or AIDS. Yeah, probably. I have used iTunes because I did have an iPhone 3G for a little while. Fast food not be better than working at a Genius Bar. Thankfully, I've not had...
Fast food is less soul-crushing than what the Genius Bar guys have to put up with. Not by much. I mean, having worked fast food as a teenager, it kind of sucks. But I would rather take a fast food job than I would work at Genius Bar.
A little less pretentious. See, I didn't have to do the fast food thing as a teenager. I just worked at a Kroger, which still wasn't very good, but you know what? I don't think it was quite as bad as that. At least I'm going to assume it's not.
Fast food's not terrible. The pay is, but that's expected. It's a fast food job. The worst part is, things like, all right, get ready to close, we're shutting off the fryers and everything like that. Last customer walks in. Damn it.
Well, I guess a grocery store is similar to that, It's like 12 midnight and they've got an entire basket of crap. Although I'm just glad I lived in a good part of town. No theft or anything. But you can kind of tell some people who worked at these places were drug dealers and things of that nature. I remember this guy who had the same job as me, and he had to have been a drug dealer simply because he had a brand new Mercedes. Okay?
Either that or he was a trust fund kid.
He didn't look like a trust fund kid. He had a brand new Mercedes that you could start with the little electronic dongle thing. I don't know, maybe he was, but it's just... Let me put it this way, the car I had at the time was a 94 S10 Blazer. So, yeah, I was happy to have that.
And then, Mario, the DMV, actually no, working the DMV, soul-crushing as it is, you're at least getting paid alright. Remember, it's a government job. Now
see, in Houston, it's referred to as the DPS, Department of Public Safety. I get to complain about this on stream, no less. So, essentially, there was a DPS office nearby. Nobody ever really went to it, so the wait time was virtually non-existent. Then the budgetary issue started up, and they shut down all but like 5. So you want to go there, it's going to be completely packed no matter what time of day you come in there. Because it's like one of only 5 in this area. It is utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, that's usually the way. And yeah, it's called DPS through almost all of Texas. It was called that in Dallas, I know that. Here in Louisiana, it's just DMV.
Trust fund, drug dealer, you never know.
Actually, you joke. I've known a few.
Why am I not?
One of them unfortunately died in one of the worst ways.
See, it's like, I don't want to ask, but then it's like, was it a fire? Was it
No, he actually tried to clean up his act, and I was there with him, but unfortunately, just, you know, drugs screw you up. And unfortunately, his reaction to it was a deep-seated clinical depression. Unfortunately, he committed suicide.
No. That is a sad, sad fact. Oh, here's something even more depressing. We're gonna do Depression Playhouse for a moment. There's actually something I just read today that I was completely unaware of. So, in the Iraq War, something like 5,000 troops died. Well, I think it was 2005, returning Iraq War veterans, there were 6,000 that committed suicide.
Yeah.
So more people committed suicide than died in the war. That is insane. And that's something that never actually really got talked about as far as I know.
That's war. I mean, the psychological trauma there it's pretty severe. This is why I support, even my horribly meager budget. I haven't supported them this year because I've had no money. But in the past, I have supported and will try to continue to support Wounded Warrior and other causes. Because no one gets out of war scot-free. No one.
See, it's stuff like that, though, that makes me almost feel kind of guilty playing games like Jedi Academy. It's like, wouldn't Jaden technically be really messed up after the very first mission of having to kill those stormtroopers and the Dark Jedi?
Oh, yeah, but thankfully this is fiction. And fiction versus reality, there's a huge gulf.
Well, there's that, but I can't help but think about that. Yeah, well. That is something that isn't often discussed, and when people do try to discuss that stuff, you have people like Big Red show up.
Worst chewing gum mascot ever.
See, before that particular person, whatever, I thought a Big Red, it's a type of soda that's disgusting. At least
yeah, it's cream. It's artificially flavored cream soda.
Yeah, no wonder it's bad. I didn't know it was a cream-based soda. Yeah. I had it once, and never again.
Well, it's right up there with Faygo. It's one of those things that, if there's nothing else, it's not terrible, but it's just not good.
I never even heard of Faygo or whatever that may be.
Really? We're in the South, man.
I've never seen it. Not once.
You don't. Your town doesn't have a Food Lion or a county market?
No. I've never seen that. Or it might have existed, and I never went there.
I know Dallas does, because, you know, that's my old stomping grounds, but then again, Dallas, I didn't spend much time at either county market or Food Lion. I spent my time at H Mart.
Yeah, see, I've never... No, wait, are you saying county line?
No. County market
county
or Food
market.
Lion.
Oh, Food Lion! Okay, I thought you were saying Food Line. Okay. No. Yeah, there was a Food Lion, but we never went there, and the only one that was nearby shut down and became a food town. So, yeah.
Weird, because I know a lot of the ones in all of the Food Lions in Louisiana shut down. Now, I know there's one in Dallas, because I was in Dallas not but 3 weeks ago.
So, yeah, I mean, pretty much all you see here in terms of food is, you got your Kroger, you got your H-E-B. Randall's was gone for a while, actually.
I don't know if you still have Brookshire Brothers down there, because that's more of a Eastern Texas thing.
I think I saw one once, but that would have been over a decade ago, and that's a hazy, hazy memory. The only thing around here is going to be where I'm actually at, within like a 10-mile radius, is going to be either a Walmart, a Kroger, an H-E-B, and that's it. If it's not one of those...
I haven't seen a Winn-Dixie in 15 years.
And I haven't seen one, period, so... But you gotta remember, I don't really go that far from where I live, and I have lived in the same geographic location pretty much my entire life, so... If it wasn't here, I didn't go to it. So, like, yeah, that... soda you mentioned, yeah, I've never saw it.
Well, you're mostly going to find it in your lower-end grocery stores, things like that, your lower-end convenience stores, because it's just a cheap soda.
Hmm. Because at first I thought you were going to say Fresca. It's like, yeah, I've seen that.
Oh yeah, you'll see Fresca. And even we get that even here.
And Fresca's not bad, although it's not amazing either.
Nah, it's not on my list. Usually,
Crap, not again.
If I'm gonna buy Fresca, I'll usually end up buying something like Schweppes ginger ale or something like that.
Yeah, they got that here too. But if it's not in Kroger's, I wouldn't have seen it. Or Walmart. And in Utah, there were even fewer choices. They had the Kroger equivalent, one local grocery store, but primarily everybody just went to Walmart, and that was it. That was like the town meeting place. Save. Save. Barbie Mega Mansion Makeover. I don't know if I'm going to get to that anytime soon. Family Video. I haven't
seen one in ages.
I never even saw one, period.
We used to have them in Dallas, and that was, you know, that was about 1996. And last time I went to Dallas and I actually saw a Family Video was, what, 2003?
From here, there's only Blockbuster. There was a
video... not Blockbuster anymore. There's only one left in the world.
Well, yeah, there's no video places here anymore. But back when there were, it'd be Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, a Mega Video, or it started with an M. I don't even remember what it's called now. They eventually went out of business, and it became something else. And now it's an Egg and I. So there's that. The old Hollywood Video. The old Hollywood Video I used to go to all the time growing up is now a cell phone store. But what's kind of funny is if you didn't know what happened at that Hollywood Video, you'd never know now. The Hollywood Video is kind of far from... Well, it wasn't that far from where I lived at the time. There was actually a armed robbery there, and somebody was shot and killed. And it shut down for a while. So, one wonders if the spirit of the slain Hollywood Video man still haunts the T-Mobile store.
Damn it, return your videos! Rewind, damn you!
So, that was kind of a creepy thing, because that was the first time that something like that had happened near where I was living, so... Now, with the rising crime rates, yeah... Okay, do I like jump off of here? Probably not. Okay, that's an invisible wall. Rising crime rates. One video close to me ended up becoming a pharmacy.
Ours became a dentist office.
Which is weird.
Yeah, it's prime location for it and plenty of space.
Actually reminds me of the dentist I normally go to. Oh, that's what the problem is. There's two of these little things flying around here. Three of them. He's a great guy and will actually offer like discounts if he knows you. But evidently, recently he can't do that anymore simply because people have been taking advantage of him. Because my mother goes to him too, and so she was telling me that he was doing that for people, and people just stopped paying. They're like, because he would like, since dental surgery and things of that nature costs a lot of money, especially if you don't have it. He would do like payment plans and stuff like that. Well, evidently people weren't paying him back. They'd like make 2 payments and then stop. So, you gotta love people today. Always being assholes. God damn it. Because getting even something simple like a cavity replace, a filling, is expensive, especially if you don't have insurance. So, but he was nice about it. But people are taking advantage, so they ruin it. Assholes ruin everything. That is an axiom as old as time itself.
Yeah, put a system in place, and if there's a way to exploit it, they will.
getting cavities replaced. Getting cavities filled is not cheap either.
Nope. Last time I had it done was when I still had insurance at Home Depot, and that still ended up costing me $500.
I thought 180 bucks was bad. It's one of the reasons why I don't eat too much sugar, you know, because, like, you did not want to have to deal with that. I remember one time when I was a teenager, I kept drinking, like, Pepsi after I'd brushed my teeth for the night. Within 6 months, I needed, like, 3 fillings and a crown.
Yeah, that stuff will do it to you.
That Pepsi will melt your teeth. It is ridiculous. Over some BS AAA games. Yeah. RDR2. I was actually talking to, over Steam with Uncle Shagnasty about RDR2. Because he actually has a PS4. And his biggest complaint about RDR2 is you have to watch a bobbing horse's ass for like 5 minutes at a time because there's no fast travel. That sounds really, really boring.
Well, the single-player game is great. The multiplayer is a hot mess.
Yeah, I imagine it's filled with microtransactions.
Well, that and grind. It's... Imagine GTA. Now take all the wackiness out. And make the grind even worse.
Why am I not surprised? Games as service.
Downside is we won't see any more single player for the GTA 5 that we have, nor will we see probably any advancement towards Red Dead Revolver 2. Pretty much, hey, that's your lat. Here's what you get. We promised more. We're not going to give it to you.
Just buy more shark cards.
Yeah.
Shark cards, or god damn it, or your god.
This is why I'm actually looking at, you know, the mods and private servers. I'm not talking mods as in, oh, I'm gonna hack GTA. No, I mean mods as in, I want to be able to run my own server with my own missions. Thank you. Without dealing with people who want to kill me just for merit of existing.
Yeah. Especially those people who, the whales as they call them today, with the little flying, like, scooter. It's kind of ridiculous. God damn it. I think I saw a message on there asking about Metro. I have to mention this in every goddamn live stream. I've already done a review of Metro 2033, the game and the book. Just look at, just quick search and you'll find it. The game was depressing, the book was okay. I think it's something that kind of gets lost in translation, though.
Yeah, as for Exodus, I'm just going to wait a year.
Shit.
I'd say 2020, we've got Ready or Not coming out. We'll have that coming out to a store which isn't loaded down with, you know, really anti-consumer practices. It's a year, man. You could wait a year.
Or if you're like me, wait till it's on sale on the Steam store and spend $10 on it.
Yeah.
And that's what I'll do. Most of the time, at least. The last game I bought pre-ordered was Dark Souls 2. That was back in 2014. And honestly,
I normally don't pre-order at all, and I'm probably going to stick to it, although Ready or Not is tempting me. It really is.
Now that's the SWAT game, right?
It's a spiritual successor to SWAT. I can't really call it SWAT because, yeah, the tactics are the same. Yeah, the idea is the same. But the attitude for it is a lot darker.
Oh, that's what the trailer showed. Pretty sure the Diamond could have been playing. Was it? Not for a month without brushing your teeth. How would you?
That's not going to be good for you, man. You may not have cavities you know of, but you probably got cavities.
Yeah. It's like, at the very least, brush once a day before you go to sleep. Get all that shit out of there. Well, I don't mean whatever. You know what I mean.
Technically, it is. Plaque is exactly that.
Really?
It's bacterial shite.
Okay.
Bacterial effluvia.
God damn it. God damn. This is not an easy part of the game, that's for sure. There's no health and no cover. There's goddamn rocket bitches. Oh wait, that's misogynistic. Rocket feminist. There we go. That should apply.
Well, they are cultists.
Exactly. They fit right in. Well, that makes me wonder though. Which Chaos God would Big Red worship? As annoying as she is, I'm going for... Yeah...
Maul.
I don't know, but that kind of does a disservice to him, though.
Malal is against everything, including himself.
Yeah, but he's kind of endearing in that way, though. Or maybe that's
so
just...
if we're going by the Emperor had a text-to-speech device, yes. But if we're going by original Malal, not really.
Yeah. I think like a number of the Chaos Gods used to be a little more, not necessarily sympathetic, but not quite as evil. Like, Korn wouldn't kill, like, innocents, but now he does. Or has his following.
No sense.
Well,
Unlike Korn would strike down people who'd kill innocents.
Wait, what?
They're not... It's dishonorable, and who you're killing isn't exactly putting up a great fight, so they're not going to make for great demons. That's why he would kill anybody who's stupid enough. Oh, you just killed a baby. Oh, you're screwed.
Mm. And that is something that... Warhammer 40k has definitely gotten more grim derpy more than anything else in the last couple of years.
If anything, I see Big Red being, you know, a pawn of Zenith. You're such a moron.
Might as already be, because, like, I don't know how people like that can live. I just don't know. I mean, someone who can just scream any way in a public setting with that amount of sincerity and think they should be taken seriously, I don't know. I can't stop sucking, it's great.
And we can definitely tell it ain't Slanesh that's bringing that.
Well, if you look at the Encyclopedia Dramatica, she always looked bad, but before she got the feminism, she apparently...
That's exactly why Slanesh is not involved in that whatsoever. Slanesh finds this lack of, you know, nudity and lack of calmliness to be disturbing.
It's certainly that, alright.
And it's like moldy locks. That is definitely not a student of Slanesh because, yeah.
God damn. See, the problem is, they all have rocket launchers too, and they take a lot of damage. This is why quick saving is your friend.
And yeah, Wreck-It Ralph 2 sucks. It sucks hard.
I didn't really even like Wreck-It Ralph 1. I mean, yeah, it wasn't horrible, but...
Yeah, it was a popcorn movie. That was about it. Wreck-It Ralph 2 is pretty much a case of, hey, let's watch some Disney executives suck a golf ball through a garden hose.
And besides, the internet in that didn't even make a lot of sense. Where was the Pornhubs?
Yeah, right.
And the X videos, which, while having lower video fidelity, has a much better selection. Just saying. Well, it depends
no
on...
YouTube, no internet.
It depends on what era you like. I like my videos like I like my video games from the early 2000s.
And Mountain Blade Bannerlord, actually kind of looking forward to that.
Fuck.
Of course, I still got to install the War Sword mod for Mountain Blade Warband.
You know, I've not played any Mountain Blade except for the first one, and that's just because it was free. I liked it. I liked the free version. It was great. God damn it.
Like I say, there's a Warhammer Fantasy mod for it, so...
You know, I've not played that one, but I have played the Lord of the Rings one, and thought it was... The big problem with the Lord of the Rings one is I never was able to get a big enough army. Like, there'd be like 1,000 orcs and I'd have like 5 guys. And those wargs can fuck off. I'm telling you. It's like, those wargs, they kill like half my army once I've... It's ridiculous.
Deceptively powerful.
Because I played as the, you know, this will show my lack of knowledge of Lord of the Rings. You know, the people that lived or worked in the that city, the White City, whichever one that is. That was the faction I liked. The Minas Tirith, that's what it was. Was that Boromir? Did he like work for them? I don't even remember. Because I never got into Lord of the Rings.
That's fine. No one's gonna hold you over the coals.
Yeah, like every other nerdy franchise, from Star Wars to Trek to Warhammer Fantasy, that even fewer people have heard about. So my nerd cred should still be intact.
And Tadushi, Germany is making porn for feminists, and it's the opposite of what you're describing. It's really, really cringy.
And yes, Five Guys as a hamburger is good. As a, something else, yeah, too many people. Just saying.
I'm buying. It's too much of a sausage party even for me.
Well, I would think. It's more of a factory.
Pretty much.
Heal, heal, heal. God damn. Quick save. Watchers of the Gate. I bet this is not even the final boss. Oh, it's all they're gonna recycle all the bosses. Okay.
It's a boss parade.
See, for me, just give me JAV any day. Yeah, it's censored, but you know what? They actually put effort into it, and they're not all plastic. I don't know what happened post 2007, but it's like we went from real human beings to primarily silicone and Botox.
Hey, it's proof that sex bots did get into porn.
Yeah, but not the good way.
Yeah.
And then recently, the silicone or whatever they put in their asses. It's like, really, that is so fake. Why even do it? Why even do it? It's so obvious that it's fake. Is that what the kids like these days? I do not understand it. I'll check the chat in a minute. I cannot take my eyes off the screen. I'm trying to fight Rapidash and, God damn. And whatever the hell that thing is. Muppet Reject. Actually, if I want to be super nerdy, I'll just call that guy, Cybone. Or is it Cubone? I think it's Cubone. That one Pokemon with, like, the Bone Club and the, skull for a head. Actually, no, he doesn't have a skull for a head. I remember this. He wears his mother's skull. It's like, holy crap! That got dark fast! Yeah, that's Japan for you. I think I missed every shot. And then walked off the edge of the cliff. Because I know how to play the video game. Blow up, blow up.
Okay.
Okay, we got one. And then I died immediately thereafter.
And second Mario, if you're going with the hippie hoppity rule, we have that already. It's called Operation Paperclip.
Yeah, the Russians got Smizer. We got the, I know his name. I can't remember it, though. Von Braun, that's his name. And that's the interesting question. How much did Smizer contribute to the AK?
A little bit, but not much, because most of the design of the bolt actually was from, you know, stolen from the Garand.
Yeah, I do remember seeing that. And I forget exactly what the STG was. I don't think it was roller lock.
No, it was SG 45 was just straight blowback.
Straight blowback in a 8mm Kurtz?
It was delayed, but not by... It wasn't a roller delay. It was, I sort of put it...
It was weird.
Semi-lever delay. It's a strange beast. Now, you know, the 43, that's completely different. That's closer to what would eventually become the Setney Modelo A and eventually become the HKG3.
I know one of those STG prototypes was a... God damn it! One of those too, but open bolt, so...
Yeah, the 45 was the open bolt. That's what I say. It's a weird little gun.
Oh yeah, I've got 32 health. No wonder I'm dying so fast. Heal, heal. I know there's gonna be even more bosses after this. Probably. Can't do a barrel roll in this. No, it shows.
You know, you can do a forward flip, but no barrel rolls.
Yes, eventually. I need to.
As for me, because it's really freaking hot. We're due for some monsoon weather, and it's definitely changed. It went from being bearably cool to, okay, this is tornado weather.
Yeah, tornadoes. I was actually present for one of those. Quite scary, actually. When people say it sounds like a freight train, it kind of does.
I hope to never be in another one.
Although that was a weird day, though, when that happened. It was like a bright blue day. Then I heard that heard the tornado, right? And no one reacted. No one reacted.
Because most people don't know what it's like.
It's like, did anyone else hear that, or is that just me? Crap, 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 crap. Where is my... I thought I picked up a rivet. Save. It was definitely very, very creepy, that's for sure. Because it actually happened when I was in elementary school. I heard the sound of the tornado. So somebody said, "Get under the desk." Then it stopped, and then everyone acted like it didn't even happen. It was the weirdest thing. I mean, not the weirdest, but it was one of the weirder things that has happened in my life. It's like, did I just imagine that or something? Or did that actually happen? I just don't know. But I do remember the sound that made, though, and that was, And I also remember if it actually started, like, crashing through the wall, I had, like, a plan. I'm not sure if it was a good one, either. It was to hide in this, this coat rack thing. It was completely, like, bolted to the ground. I was like, well, if I hide in there, it can't get picked up by the tornado and get carried off. I don't know if that would have worked out too well.
Archway, you're generally told that archways are the most secure part of a building, and it's not a lie, but the fact is, Mother Nature doesn't care.
Eh.
And right now, Coke Zero.
Dusk. And I don't have... Actually, no, I have a tiny bit of water.
Most of the ones we have around here are... Yeah, it's just not going to care about your building.
Let's see. One moment. I must just send 2 texts out. And... wait, no. I actually almost sent Rage a love you good night message. I don't think that would...
Okay, I love you. Goodbye.
That'll be a little weird. Let's see. It is 71 degrees outside. Global warming. Or is it global cooling? I never can tell anymore. Alright, so... Let's see. And... we have to find more Chaos Emeralds. I didn't know Sonic was in this game. So evidently there's supposed to be some sort of live-action Sonic. I've seen some pictures of that recently. Ooh, that looks...
Oh, even the creators at Sonic Team saying this looks like absolute hot garbage.
Oh man, that... You know, okay, Detective Pikachu. That looks like that might be entertaining. I don't know if it's going to be or not, you know... You got, you know, Deadpool as, you know, Pikachu. That at least looks like it's going to be passable. But...
I still prefer the YouTube take on it for the new voice direction for Pikachu.
I haven't seen that.
I won't spoil it. I'll probably post it up to the group chat, but I won't spoil it here. You can find it on YouTube. It's hilarious.
Alright. But even then, that looks like that's going to be a lot better than a Sonic live action. Sonic just needs to die. There hasn't been a good Sonic game in, what, 10 years at this point?
Sonic Jam was actually pretty good, but it's the exception to the rule. It is not, by any means, the norm.
Last.
Now that looks pretty creepy.
You finally arrived. You shall be my final test.
Gilbert Gottfried voicing Sonic.
After all that I've had to face so far, well, okay, well, evidently Jacob here is pretty tough. Because he killed me in, like, literally 2 seconds. I was like, Jacob, oh no, not him! Man, he's just jumping around like you... But I bet you haven't mastered the art of quick save, have you? Might be able to bunny hop, but you can't hit F6. Yeah, this isn't so bad. Let me guess, he has like multiple forms.
Well, you were showing his face in the beginning of the game.
I honestly don't remember what it looked like.
Oh, it's because it was in a photo.
Oh. I'm just gonna waste all my LMG on him. He is moving fast. Save. Save. See something better than that. Hunting rifle, there we go. Okay, so you do not want to close with this guy at all.
If you guys use the hunting rifle, treat it like the railgun in Quake 2.
I know I have to lead him a little bit. Hey, I got him. Got him again.
disciples!
Oh, come on. So close. I was doing so good, too. Actually hitting this bastard. Okay, well, God damn it.
No, you can't betray me! My disciples!
Really? I got killed by my own mortar? You gotta be fucking kidding me.
No, you can't betray me!
Why do I picture that happening in real life?
Because friendly fire isn't.
Okay. It gives no illumination, huh? Okay, this is kind of trippy.
He was worthy, you know, and he accomplished so much. But then, you came along. You, who were stronger. You, who were faster.
And that's the last we saw of Dusk, dude. We have no idea what's going on.
Better. Who did you expect at the end of all of this? God? The devil, perhaps? No. It's just me.
Holy crap! Of course, you know, I wonder what H.P. Lovecraft would have made of this.
Probably about the same as Shub Nagarath and, you know, the original Quake.
Can you not kill him? Or is this a supposed to lose fight?
I doubt it's supposed to lose fight.
Because I'm doing no damage to him. Supposed to, like, jump into his mouth or something? They're shotgun shells, but you would think... I don't get... Oh! I see. I can play the Vigigam. So like jump up and you shoot the ceiling. Okay, I get it. Really? I'm all the way back here? I have to remember... Wait a minute, hold on. Did that auto-save? That way I don't have to... No, it didn't auto-save. Of course it didn't. I don't know, what is a paladin?
Oh, originally they were known as 12 tiers. But... No, I'm not going to go into that.
Yes. I know what a paladin is, it's just that age-old joke that sadly is more depressing now than it used to be. I didn't see a super obvious glowing spot. I've been playing this game for 3 hours and 16 minutes.
You, I like better.
And also, this is really suggestive.
Expect at the end of all of this, God.
Just a green spectral arrow. I see nothing. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
No, it's just.
For some reason, my thumb hurts. It's not even doing anything. It's just sitting there. Okay, where's the super obvious glowing spot? I don't see no super obvious glowing spot. Oh, I guess that's it. You know, I honestly thought that was just screen tearing. That's what it looked like to me. It's like, oh, it's graphical problems. Yeah, give me the Yeti Riveter. Save. Okay, so I'm guessing he goes invulnerable. And well, oh, there's another one. Okay, I got it. I understand, video game. Save. So it's not screen tearing. I see. So wait, GeneralLotz is really an emo goth? Who can't stand the light?
Maybe. He's the god of Hot Topic.
Ugh.
I'm joking, there's no god there.
You know, I will admit, I actually have been in there, and it's every bit as bad as you'd expect.
Here's the thing, as an ex-punk, if you got caught with Hot Topic gear, we would have made fun of you. The only acceptable thing that's ever been sold in the Hot Topic to wear has been Doc Martens. And you can buy those elsewhere.
The sales staff was actually fairly nice, though, so...
Oh yeah, they're paid alright for what they do, but let's be honest, it's freaking Hot Topic. There's nothing there.
Although I will admit, during my aborted emo phase in 2014...
Enough. You are indeed worthy. And so now, my power is yours.
Well, that was unexpected. Pacifist.
How does it feel? Horrible, isn't it? But wonderful.
And yeah, it's the same as Caleb from Blood. Although that said, right now I've been playing In Blood, and it works great.
Is insignificant. Who you are now is inconceivable. But here you shall remain till I have need of you again. For one must always reign beneath Dusk.
So, what we get from that is that AAA sucks, indie is great. And my thumb is tired, despite just literally sitting over the keyboard. So what'd you think, Rain? I think he's AFK at the moment. Well, what I think is this game was quite excellent. I mean, this has got to be one of the best first-person shooters that I've played in some time. I keep saying that, but best new first-person shooter. Let me put it that way. That was an absolutely excellent ending. You know, it didn't have a bunch of flashy cutscenes that cost half the budget of the game. It just relied on, you know, good voice acting, good design. And this is an example of a game where talent was put into it. Actual talent and passion. This is what you get when you have talent and passion, not just, let's make loot boxes. Megan Fox. That's a... I did not expect to see that name there. But, yeah, I mean, this is every bit as good as people say it is. This is not a game that is popular because a bunch of people said it was good. It's popular because it is good. Hey, and me! They knew the channel, right? Dusk and Blood need a crossover. Hey, you never know. It could happen. No, it can't.
Pray that you never meet me in my 1,000 other forms.
Alright, so that is... I almost said Blood. That's not Blood, that's Dusk. Close enough, right? That's Dusk! You know, it goes to show you that good games still can exist in this brave new world of ours. Alright, so do I want to play anything before I go? Gave it an excellent 2 or 2. It does get the GeneralLotz seal of approval. And you never know, it could be Caleb. Let's see, what's a good game just to end out the stream? Because I don't want to end out the stream, because Rain did go AFK. Anything on here worth jumping into for a moment? I've already played a little bit of a medieval for everyone. I'll go ahead and end the stream. Just because I do want this just to be a Dusk stream. So, Alien Isolation, that's coming. That will be coming at some point soon. So, I am GeneralLotz, and I'm going to wish you good Dusk, or whatever, may or may not, make you happy. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, and if you can, please consider supporting me on Patreon so that I can continue bringing you this awesome content. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing, and if you can, please consider supporting me on Patreon so that I can continue bringing you this awesome content.